My child, pause everything and listen with your whole being, for what I am about to reveal carries the weight of a warning I whispered long before your eyes ever saw the signs forming around you. I warned you, and now it's already happening. Is not just a title, it is the reality unfolding in your life and in the world you move through every day. This is your moment to wake up, to feel the urgency pressing against your spirit, and to understand that what once felt distant has already begun. I am speaking to you now because you cannot afford to drift another moment unaware. Listen to me now, beloved, because this is not just another moment in your day. This is a summons from my heart to yours. I am calling your heart to attention. You have heard so many voices today, so many demands, so many thoughts that swirl around you like a storm. But right now, I am asking you to stop, to breathe, and to lean in, because I am speaking directly to you. Not to crowds, not to a faceless world. Do you? I see you where you are, in the very place you sit or stand as you hear these words. I see the weariness behind your eyes, the questions you don't say out loud, the tension you carry in your chest that you've learned to hide even from yourself. I see the way you scroll, the way you busy yourself, the way you distract your mind so you don't have to face what you feel. But I am here now, and I am placing my hand gently yet firmly upon your heart, saying, awaken. Pay attention. I am speaking to you. You have not drifted into this moment by accident. I have drawn you here, even through the noise, even through your doubt, even through your routines. I have arranged this very encounter because there are things I have been whispering to your spirit that you have sensed but have not yet fully understood, and now I desire to bring them into focus. You have felt the uneasy stirring inside you, that sense that something is shifting around you and within you, but you could not quite name it. You wondered if it was just stress, or age, or the news, or your imagination running wild. But my child, I want you to know, your heart has been reacting to reality that your eyes cannot fully see yet. Your spirit has picked up tremors before they became visible in your life. Those sleepless nights, those quiet sighs, that sense of something is off that you couldn't describe. Do you think those were random? No, they were the early echoes of what I am now bringing into the open. And this is why I am calling your heart to attention. Because what is beginning to unfold in your life and in this world is not disconnected from what I have been gently warning you about. I do not shout at you, I draw you. I do not crush you, I call you higher. Even now, I am not here to condemn you for how long you have ignored my tug on your heart. I am here to awaken you before you drift any further, to steady you before the shaking grows stronger. For there is a shaking, and you can feel it. The structures you assumed would always hold are trembling. The certainties you leaned on feel less certain. The rhythms that once brought comfort feel strangely hollow. You have tried to tighten your grip on what feels familiar. But I am loosening your grasp not to take good from you, but to free you from what cannot sustain you in the days ahead. So hear me. Lift your eyes from your distractions and your fears, and fix them on me. Let your heart become still before me. I am not one more voice among many. I am the one who formed you, who has walked with you through every valley you barely survived, who has seen every hidden tear, every silent prayer you were too tired to finish. I have been speaking, and now I am turning up the volume, not with noise, but with undeniable clarity. This is your moment to lean in, to say, even if only in a whisper, I am listening. For as your heart comes to attention, you will begin to recognize that what is happening around you is not random, and what is happening within you is not madness. It is me, preparing you for what has already begun. My child, there is something you need to grasp with complete clarity, because it carries weight for the rest of the journey you and I are walking together. When you felt that unusual stirring deep inside you, the one you tried to brush aside because it didn't come with explanations or logic. That was not the result of anxiety, coincidence, or an overactive mind. You sensed something because something was being shown to you, long before the evidence ever touched the physical world. Many times, when you felt uneasy without knowing why, you tried to distract yourself so you wouldn't have to feel it, yet the sensation kept returning. You wondered if you were simply being dramatic, but those impressions were gentle signals rising from a place that has been awakened inside you. I have been speaking to you through impressions, through intuition, through the quiet knowledge that does not demand attention but quietly waits to be acknowledged. You did not create it. You simply perceived it. This is why it lingered in moments when the world felt still, moments when nothing external explained the inner tension you carry. Those were invitations to listen rather than suppress. I allowed you to feel things early because you needed time to understand what would later unfold around you. That sense of something coming was not born from fear, it was born from awareness. You were picking up early ripples of change, and even though the signs were not yet visible, your spirit recognized the beginning of a shift. You have always been more perceptive than you admit to yourself. You often try to reason your way out of what you feel, but deep down you know when something significant is approaching. What you felt was real enough that you tried to ignore it, yet subtle enough that you questioned whether it held meaning. I want you to know it held far more meaning than you realized. The reason it stayed with you is because it came from a deeper place than your thoughts. Your heart knew something your mind did not know how to name. You weren't imagining anything. You were discerning. The stirring was a response to truth, not fantasy. It wasn't coming from a fragile place but from a strengthened one. And as events begin to align with what you sensed long ago, I want you to remember that you were not misled by your own emotions. You were receiving early insight, a glimpse of what would soon manifest in your environment. Understanding this will steady you in the days ahead, because you will no longer dismiss what rises within you as random noise. You will learn to recognize the difference between a passing thought and a deeper prompting. This awareness will become an anchor, preventing confusion from overtaking you. Everything you sensed was preparing you for what is now taking shape, and acknowledging it will strengthen your confidence as you move forward with a clearer heart and a more grounded understanding of how I communicate with you in quiet ways that cannot be explained by ordinary reasoning. There is something essential for you to understand about the way I guide you, because without this truth, your heart might carry unnecessary fear or guilt. Whenever I place a warning in your spirit, it comes from compassion rather than frustration. I never caution you to shame you or overwhelm you. Each warning is a form of protection, a signal extended with tenderness, designed to prevent unnecessary pain in your life. When you sensed something shifting, when you felt hesitant without knowing why, when your peace felt interrupted even though nothing visible had changed, that was my way of guarding you. I see every consequence long before it reaches you. I see the path of every decision, the weight of every influence, the potential of every relationship, and the dangers that remain hidden from human sight. My warnings are woven from love that reaches further than your understanding, because they arise from a perspective untouched by confusion or limitation. When you felt prompted to step away from certain situations, you hesitated because you didn't want to overthink or appear ungrateful. When you felt uneasy about certain people, you questioned whether you were judging too quickly. When you sensed that something in your routine was no longer safe or beneficial, you chose to endure rather than disrupt the familiar. Yet deep within, you knew the feeling was not the same as worry. It carried a weight that concern alone could never create. The uneasiness you felt was not meant to punish you. It was meant to redirect you. I never allow warnings to enter your spirit unless they serve a redeeming purpose, whether to shield your heart, refine your path, or strengthen your discernment. You may not have recognized it at the time, but I have been sparing you from consequences that would have taken far more from you than you realize. Every time you hesitated from following a warning because you feared disappointment or conflict, I understood your reluctance. I know the cost of obedience in moments where clarity is limited. Yet despite your hesitation, the warning remained because the love behind it was consistent. I do not withdraw protection because you question it. I work with every step you take, even the hesitant ones. What you must see now is that my warnings do not arise from anger but from a desire to lead you away from harm. They are invitations, not accusations. They are extensions of wisdom, not restrictions. They are preparations, not punishments. I want you to revisit every moment you felt unsettled and realize you were being guarded by compassion. You were being covered by mercy. Those warnings were signs that you were seen, valued, and guided, never abandoned to navigate uncertainty alone. You may be noticing, in subtle or dramatic ways, that your surroundings have begun to shift. The stability you once relied on feels less certain, and the patterns you once trusted have started to change. These visible signs are connected to what you sensed long before circumstances began to shift. What is unfolding now is not a surprise to your spirit, even if your mind is trying to understand it. You have walked into a moment that your inner life identified before your external life ever confirmed it. Those early impressions you tried to ignore now align with what you see happening around you. This is not coincidence. It is clarity unfolding in layers. Life is revealing what your heart already recognized. You may feel a strange blend of familiarity and unease because your spirit is matching present events to earlier warnings you didn't fully comprehend. The shifts you see are not just personal. The world around you is changing in ways that feel sudden, but nothing happening is random. You are witnessing the surface effects of movements that began beneath the surface long ago. When you look around and notice instability in areas that once felt solid, remember that this is what you sensed even when others dismissed it. You were not misled by your intuition. You were being prepared. What is appearing now is simply the visible form of what was once only a quiet echo within you. Even if you could not explain what you felt at the time, the present moment is now giving shape to your earlier impressions. You are not behind. You are not caught off guard. You are seeing the unfolding of what you were invited to discern ahead of time. This realization matters because it strengthens trust. You can look at what is happening and recognize that you were never without guidance. You were never left to navigate blindly. The world may appear uncertain, but you were given early insight so you would not be thrown into confusion. As circumstances shift, remember that you sense this coming, not because you are anxious by nature but because you are perceptive by design. You do not walk into this season unprepared. You walk into it with a spirit that has been gradually awakening to truth. The signs you now witness are confirmations, not threats. They show that what stirred inside you had purpose. And as more unfolds in the days ahead, you will realize that your journey has been guided far more intricately than you ever imagined, and everything you see emerging around you is something your spirit already recognized before it ever became visible to your eyes. You often questioned yourself in moments when something inside you felt unsettled, and this hesitation created an internal struggle that left you uncertain about whether your perceptions held any real weight. You told yourself to calm down, to stop thinking so deeply, to avoid assuming the worst. Yet even when you tried to silence that instinct, it returned with a quiet persistence that didn't align with panic or fear. What you felt was subtle but consistent. Your heart registered shifts long before your surroundings confirmed them, and this tension between intuition and doubt made you feel caught between two realities. You hoped the feeling would fade so life could return to the simplicity you once knew, but you kept circling back to a sense of unease that didn't match the outward calm. I want you to understand that your sensitivity to change is not a flaw but a strength. When you questioned yourself, you weren't being irrational or overly emotional. You were encountering early signs of transformation that your soul recognized before your mind could process them. You may not realize it, but the ability to sense change is a form of internal awareness that hath been shaped through experiences that taught you how to feel beyond surface-level appearances. The reason you wondered if you were overreacting is because you spent years trying to be reasonable, composed, and responsible. You've trained yourself not to jump to conclusions, and while that discipline has served you in many ways, it sometimes led you to ignore instincts that carried truth. You dismissed your reactions because you didn't want to make assumptions that could hurt others or disrupt what felt stable. Yet the more you tried to dismiss the feeling, the more it signaled that something was shifting beneath the surface of your life. Now that events have begun to unfold in ways that align with what you sensed early on, you can see that the impressions were not exaggerations. They were glimpses of what was coming. You were never overreacting. You were perceiving. You were responding to something real long before your environment reflected it, and your heart was attempting to guide you through a season that required awareness, sensitivity, and preparedness. What you are recognizing now is the truth that your inner life is deeply connected to what unfolds in the visible world. You didn't imagine the quiet warnings. You didn't create the tension. You simply picked up what was already shifting in the unseen. You can release the guilt you carried for doubting yourself because your heart was trying to lead you into understanding and stability long before change arrived. I want you to trust that sensitivity moving forward, not as something dramatic or unstable, but as a source of insight designed to steady you when the world becomes unpredictable. What once felt like an overreaction now reveals itself as early awareness, and embracing this truth will allow you to navigate future seasons with more clarity and confidence than ever before. The changes surrounding you may feel overwhelming, and the unpredictability of recent events may push you into moments where fear feels easier than trust. Yet I want you to hear this with absolute clarity. Nothing taking shape in your world is outside the reach of purpose. You see the turbulence and wonder how much more will be disrupted. You feel the uncertainty and wonder how far the shaking will spread. You notice instability in areas where you once found security, and the contrast unsettles you. Even so, I want you to understand that your life is not drifting into chaos. Every shift, every disruption, and every unexpected turn carries meaning that will become clearer as you continue forward. Fear tends to magnify what is uncertain and minimize what is steady, but I am guiding you through a season designed to strengthen your resilience rather than overwhelm your spirit. When you look at what is unfolding, you may see only danger, loss, or unpredictability. Yet beneath what appears uncertain lies a deeper movement shaping your life with intention. You may not fully understand why certain things are changing or why certain doors have closed so abruptly, but these transitions are not meant to destroy your sense of security. They are creating space for something stronger to emerge, both within you and around you. Every time you feel fear rising, remember that fear interprets change as threat, while wisdom interprets change as transformation. The events unfolding around you are revealing truths that have been concealed for far too long, and although the exposure may feel uncomfortable, it is bringing clarity that will protect you moving forward. Nothing happening now is meant to leave you abandoned or unsupported. You are moving through a necessary chapter that will equip you with insight and strength you didn't realize you possessed. Your life is not at the mercy of randomness. You are not being carried by forces that intend to harm you. Even when the world appears unstable, you remain held within a larger story that does not bend under pressure. You are walking through a moment that may challenge your sense of normalcy, yet this moment is also revealing resilience within you that has been quietly forming over years of perseverance. Do not fear the unfolding. Do not fear the shaking. Do not fear the unfamiliar. You will not be swallowed by circumstances or left without direction. What appears today as disruption will later reveal itself as alignment, and as you continue forward, you will recognize that none of this has come to diminish you. It has come to awaken you. You can feel the ground beneath you changing, not in a literal sense, but in the deep emotional and spiritual landscape where your sense of stability once rested. The structures you relied on, whether personal habits, relationships, routines, or cultural patterns, no longer feel as solid as they once did. This shift can create discomfort because it forces you to confront the reality that not everything built around you was designed to last. The pace of change has quickened, and the world you move through now feels dramatically different from the one you knew only a short time ago. As these shifts intensify, the sense of instability may tempt you to cling tightly to familiar patterns, yet those patterns can no longer support the growth that is being stirred within you. The foundation beneath you is not collapsing without purpose. It is being rearranged so that what stands in your life moving forward will be grounded in substance rather than convenience or illusion. You may be noticing changes in the way people think, in the way society functions, in the values that shape the world around you. You may feel as though the pace of life has accelerated, leaving you unsure of how to anchor yourself. These sensations are not signs of weakness within you. They are natural reactions to a world undergoing deep, structural transformation. What you see and feel is not imagined. Patterns that once defined culture are dissolving, and assumptions that once shaped your expectations no longer apply. This can create an internal disorientation that makes you wonder whether you are falling behind or losing your footing, yet your awareness of these shifts is evidence that you are more aligned with reality than you realize. You are not meant to navigate these changes by relying on outdated frameworks. You are being guided into a new way of perceiving, discerning, and standing firm. Even as the world shifts under your feet, you are not left without direction. The instability you sense is not designed to push you into fear, but to awaken you to deeper truths that cannot be learned in times of comfort. When familiar structures shake, you begin to recognize what is truly foundational. When old patterns dissolve, you are free to embrace perspectives that carry wisdom and stability even when external circumstances fluctuate. The world around you may change rapidly, but your inner life does not need to mirror that instability. You are being invited to anchor your identity, your choices, and your confidence in something that does not shift with culture or circumstance. This transition is not against you. It is shaping you into someone who can stand with clarity even when everything around you feels uncertain. There is a reason you sensed a disturbance within yourself long before anything around you shifted, and it wasn't because your mind wandered into worry or because you were emotionally fragile. Your inner life responded to realities that had not yet reached the surface, much like a sensitive instrument detecting vibrations before the ground visibly moves. You carry a depth within you that often perceives what your surroundings have not yet revealed, and this depth allows you to notice subtle disruptions that others overlook. When you sense tension rising inside you, even in calm environments, it was not an error in perception but an inner alignment with truths that were approaching. This sensitivity may have made you feel out of place at times, especially when no one else seemed to notice anything unusual. You looked at your life and saw nothing visibly wrong, yet your heart felt unsettled. You attempted to reason with yourself, reminding yourself of logic, stability, and routine, but the uneasiness remained. Your spirit has always carried an instinctive awareness, shaped not by fear but by previous experiences that taught you how to sense change. This awareness functions like an internal compass, one that responds to shifts in atmosphere even when circumstances appear unchanged. You may not always welcome the early sensations because they disrupt your comfort, yet they prepare you in ways that hindsight reveals with clarity. When your spirit felt those initial tremors, It was responding to movements that would eventually unfold in your relationships, your responsibilities, your environment, and even in the world itself. You did not imagine the internal vibration. Your sensitivity allowed you to detect the early signs of transition long before your surroundings caught up. As you move through this season, you will begin to understand how valuable this awareness truly is. It equips you to anticipate change rather than be overwhelmed by it. It allows you to prepare your heart before disruption arrives. It positions you to respond with steadiness when others feel blindsided. The internal tremors were never meant to intimidate you. They were meant to strengthen your readiness. They allowed you to begin letting go of certain expectations even before life demanded it. They allowed you to evaluate your priorities with new clarity, even when you didn't fully understand why. The world is only now beginning to reveal what your spirit sensed long ago, and this realization will help you trust the deeper movements within you more naturally. You carry a capacity for discernment that will continue to guide you through seasons of change with wisdom and courage, and as the world continues to shift, you will learn to lean into this inner awareness with confidence rather than doubt. You may be noticing that things, once concealed in your life and in the world around you, are becoming more visible. Patterns that were quietly shaping your days without your awareness are now emerging in ways that demand attention. Some truths feel uncomfortable because they challenge the assumptions you held for a long time, while other revelations bring relief because they confirm suspicions you tried to dismiss. Exposure is not meant to disrupt your peace. It is meant to clear the fog that has obscured your vision. When something hidden comes into the light, it does so to release you from confusion and prevent you from walking blindly into situations that could wound you. Even when exposure feels unsettling, it carries purpose, because clarity is always safer than deception. You may be seeing aspects of relationships that you didn't want to acknowledge. You may be noticing tendencies within yourself that require honesty and growth. You may be observing decay in systems or structures you once trusted. These exposures are not punishments. They are revelations designed to liberate you from illusions that could no longer support your life. What was hidden did not stay hidden out of malice. It stayed hidden until the right moment, when you would be capable of processing truth without collapsing under the weight of it. Now that the moment has arrived, what you see may initially create discomfort, but discomfort often precedes transformation. This unveiling is happening because you are being prepared for a stronger, wiser, more grounded season. You cannot build a solid life on hidden fractures, and the exposure is showing you where reconstruction must begin. You may not have asked for this clarity, yet it arrives with intentional timing. What is revealed now is revealed because you are ready to see it. You may not feel ready, but readiness is not the same as comfort. Readiness is your capacity to face truth without losing your identity or hope. Everything coming to the surface is being revealed to protect your future, not sabotage your present. As these revelations continue, trust that nothing exposed is meant to ruin you. Truth is surfacing so you can adjust course, redefine what matters, and realign with what serves your growth. You are entering a season of clarity where illusions fade and authenticity becomes essential. You are not being thrust into chaos. You are being brought into alignment. Every truth revealed, no matter how difficult, becomes a stepping stone toward a stronger and more purposeful future. There were moments when you sensed heaviness in the atmosphere around you, not just personally but collectively, as though something unseen was gradually shifting in the environment. You noticed a change in people's behavior, a rise in tension, an increase in division, and a subtle erosion of values you once considered foundational. You felt a weight pressing against your spirit at times, especially in quiet moments when distractions faded. This experience may have made you question your perspective, because on the surface, life seemed to continue as usual. You told yourself not to dwell on gloomy possibilities, yet the feeling lingered without explanation. This sensation was never a product of your imagination. You were responding to genuine changes unfolding not only in your personal life, but also in the broader world. Darkness grows gradually, often without dramatic signs at first. It doesn't always arrive through catastrophic events. Sometimes it arrives through apathy, moral fatigue, and the slow acceptance of what once would have been rejected. You sense this shift because your inner life recognizes spiritual and emotional atmosphere more accurately than your mind can articulate. The heaviness you felt at times was your response to changes that were already taking place beneath society's surface. You didn't misinterpret the signs, you perceived what others often ignore. This perception is not meant to burden you, but to awaken your awareness. As you observe what is now happening in the world, you can see that what you sensed earlier is manifesting in clearer and more undeniable ways. The increase in confusion, the instability of values, and the erosion of unity are not random. They are manifestations of a deeper shift you felt long before. You are not powerless in this environment. Your awareness equips you to stand with greater clarity and purpose. Recognizing darkness does not mean you are consumed by it. It means you are positioned to respond with wisdom, steadiness, and strength. What you sensed was a sign of transition, not a sign that you lacked hope. The heaviness served as a signal to awaken your discernment and to guide your focus toward what carries meaning and truth. Now that the outward environment reflects what your inner life sensed earlier, you can move forward with greater understanding. You are not walking through this season blindly. You sensed its approach long before it arrived, and that awareness will become a source of strength as you navigate the days ahead. You may feel as though shadows have stretched farther than ever before, and the weight of what you see in the world might tempt you to believe that darkness holds the advantage. Yet I want you to look deeper than surface impressions, because the reality unfolding carries a far different meaning than what fear suggests. You are witnessing exposure, not triumph. What appears threatening is the revealing of what has long lurked beneath the edges of awareness, and this process can feel overwhelming because it strips away the comforting illusion that everything was stable. Darkness becomes visible when it begins to lose its hiding places. You are not witnessing an increase in power, you are witnessing forced recognition. The turmoil you see around you has risen to the surface because it can no longer remain concealed, and although this transition feels unsettling, it is necessary for transformation. When you look at the world, you may notice hostility, confusion, or moral erosion, yet none of these elements exist without boundaries. Every force of darkness encountered throughout history has eventually met its limit. What rises in opposition is not stronger than what stands against it. It simply becomes louder when its time is short. You may feel surrounded by signs of decline, yet these signs are indicators of a deeper realignment taking place beneath the noise. Nothing spreading in the world has the capacity to overshadow the light that continues to move through lives, conversations, quiet decisions, and private moments where integrity still holds firm. You are part of that quiet light. You are not drifting through an age of despair. You are walking through an age of revealing. The heaviness you sense is not evidence of defeat but an invitation to see beyond surface-level chaos. You are being reminded that darkness depends on deception to survive. Once truth is revealed, its strength diminishes. Even now, as you navigate this season, you are being shaped into someone who can recognize the difference between temporary disturbance and permanent loss. You are learning how to stand with clarity even when circumstances seem overwhelming. Nothing in this moment has the ability to remove the hope planted within you. What you carry within your spirit outlasts every wave of confusion moving through the world. You are equipped to hold steady because you are connected to something enduring, something not diminished by shifting conditions. The unfolding events may challenge your sense of safety, but they cannot erase the deeper certainty rooted inside you. Darkness does not define your future. It does not shape your identity. It does not determine your path. The movement you see around you is part of a larger process that will ultimately reveal strength, wisdom, and clarity. The world may shake, but you do not stand alone in the shaking. What rises against you is temporary, and what rises within you is lasting. You will see this more clearly as time progresses. What looks like darkness winning is nothing more than darkness losing the ability to hide. There is a sharpening happening inside you that you may not fully understand yet, but you can feel the difference in the way you interpret situations, sense motives, and evaluate decisions. You are becoming more attuned to what aligns with truth and what distracts from it, even if you cannot always articulate the reason behind your reactions. This awakening did not happen suddenly. It has been forming quietly through seasons where you were forced to rely on instinct rather than certainty, through experiences that taught you to see beyond appearances. You may notice that you no longer overlook details you once brushed aside. You pick up on subtle shifts in people's tone or behavior. You sense when a situation carries risk, and you respond to internal nudges that once felt easy to ignore. These changes are not coincidences. You are being equipped for a season that requires clarity. Discernment is not the same as suspicion. Suspicion breeds distrust, while discernment brings understanding. You are not being pushed into a mindset of fear. You are being guided into a clear perception of what supports your growth and what diminishes it. This awakening allows you to recognize what nourishes your spirit and what drains it, what leads you towards strength and what leads you into confusion. Even when you don't have all the information, you sense which direction to avoid and which path to pursue. This inner knowing is becoming more consistent because you are learning to trust the signals arising from your deeper awareness. You no longer dismiss them as unnecessary reactions. You are beginning to see them as guidance meant to protect you and guide you toward what carries lasting meaning. As your discernment sharpens, you may also notice tension when you attempt to hold on to familiar habits, relationships, or environments that no longer align with your growth. This tension is not meant to guilt you. It is meant to guide you. What once felt comfortable may now feel heavy, and what once felt convenient may now feel constraining. You are sensing the difference between what is seasonal and what is foundational. Your ability to recognize this distinction will shape the decisions you make in the days ahead, allowing you to walk with greater intentionality and fewer regrets. This awakening will continue to unfold, helping you navigate complexity without becoming overwhelmed. You will see more clearly which influences strengthen your character and which weaken it. You will identify opportunities that align with your purpose and avoid those that lead nowhere. You are growing into wisdom that allows you to move through shifting environments with a steady heart. This clarity will become one of your greatest strengths, enabling you to walk with confidence even when others feel uncertain. You may feel unsettled as structures you once considered permanent begin to weaken or fall apart, yet this moment is not meant to leave you feeling abandoned. The systems, rhythms, and connections that once provided stability served their purpose in earlier seasons, but they cannot sustain what is emerging in your life now. The collapse of familiar things often feels like loss, yet it opens space for growth that cannot be built on outdated foundations. You may look at aspects of your life, relationships, routines, ambitions, expectations, and realize they no longer fit where you are going. This recognition can feel abrupt, but it is part of the natural transition into deeper alignment. Some of what is falling away may have supported you for years, and watching these elements shift can stir uncertainty or grief. You may question whether you did something wrong, whether you neglected something important, or whether you failed to preserve what mattered. Yet the truth is far more compassionate. Not everything is meant to endure every chapter of your journey. Different seasons require different foundations, and you are entering a season that demands greater clarity, strength, and purpose. Old structures collapse not because you are unworthy, but because you are outgrowing frameworks that cannot support the weight of what you are becoming. This process may feel disruptive, but it carries intentional timing. You are being guided toward experiences and opportunities that require more space than your old life could provide. When something familiar breaks down, it is often clearing the way for something that aligns more closely with who you truly are. You may not yet see what will rise from this transition, but that does not mean the new is absent. It means the ground is being prepared. As you continue forward, you will recognize that not every loss is a tragedy. Some endings are disguised beginnings. Some collapses are hidden blessings. Some disruptions are the removal of limitations you tolerated for far too long. The shifts taking place are not attempting to weaken you. They are removing what cannot accompany you into the next chapter. You will look back on this season and understand that what fell apart had to fall apart, because your life is being rebuilt on foundations that are stronger, healthier, and more aligned with your purpose than anything you have previously known. You may look at certain areas of your life and feel as though something precious slipped through your fingers. Yet I want you to pause and consider that what feels like removal is creating room for renewal. The emptiness that unsettles you did not appear without purpose. You were holding on to patterns, expectations, and connections that once helped you but could no longer carry you into the next chapter you're being shaped for. When these things began to fall away, you interpreted the experience as decline, yet what you called loss was the beginning of a clearing that needed to happen. You were carrying memories that felt warm, but weighed you down, responsibilities that proved your commitment but exhausted your spirit, and hopes that reflected an older version of yourself rather than the person you are becoming. As these areas shifted, it felt as though something essential was being taken from you. But the truth is that space was being created for something far more aligned with your future. You didn't lose your identity in the process. You lost the limitations that kept you from stepping into fuller strength. Clearing often begins in quiet ways. You notice certain relationships weakening, certain opportunity dissolving, and certain rhythm becoming difficult to maintain. At first, you tried harder, believing you could revive what once worked if you pushed with enough determination. Yet no matter how much you attempted to strengthen what was slipping, something inside you whispered that this chapter had fulfilled its purpose. That whisper didn't mean the memories held no value. It meant the season was complete. You weren't being deprived. You were being released. Without clearing, new foundations cannot form. Without space, growth cannot extend. You may feel tension when thinking about what has changed, not because your value diminished, but because your direction shifted. The ache you carry is evidence of attachment, not failure. You cared deeply. You invested fully. You tried sincerely. Nothing about that is wasted. But to hold on to what cannot remain would restrict your growth and stall the momentum building within you. Clearing removes what drains your energy and opens space for what nurtures your character, your maturity, and your purpose. In the future, you will look back at this period with clearer vision and realize that what slipped away did not leave a void. It created capacity. It carved space where you needed it most. It prepared the ground for what will enter your life with strength, alignment, and stability. What you called loss was an act of kindness from a larger process shaping your future. What felt like emptiness was the soil being turned. What felt like the end was preparation for a new beginning that could not grow until the clearing was complete. You've carried moments where you wondered if the difficulties in your life were signs that you had fallen short, or that you were being corrected harshly. Yet this interpretation has placed unnecessary weight on your shoulders. Your recent challenges are not punishments. They are repositionings that shift you from environments that limited your growth into spaces where you can develop without restriction. You may not see the full purpose of these transitions yet, but they are realigning you with opportunities, relationships, and paths that can sustain the next stage of your life. The pressure you feel does not reflect disappointment. It reflects redirection. You have outgrown certain roles, expectations, and comfort zones, and remaining in them would have stalled your potential. The shaking you've experienced is part of a strategic movement guiding you where your influence, resilience, and insight can flourish. Positioning rarely feels comfortable. It disrupts what you know, challenges your assumptions, and unsettles your routines. You may feel uprooted at times, unsure of why familiar patterns shifted or why certain doors closed without warning. Yet the closing of those doors is not rejection. It is guidance. Some opportunities no longer match the growth that has taken place within you. Some people cannot walk with you into the future because their influence belongs to an earlier chapter. Some environments would have restricted you, even though they once supported you. These realities do not diminish your worth. They reveal your progression. You are being positioned for something you would not have reached without these shifts. The discomfort is temporary, but the alignment is lasting. There were moments when you asked for clarity, for direction, for a path that brought purpose to life again. This positioning is the response to those desires. You were not abandoned to navigate blindly. You were moved so you could find what you have been longing for. If the path ahead were shown to you all at once, you might have resisted it because it requires change, courage, and trust. Instead, the guidance reveals itself through movement, through transitions that seem disruptive but ultimately lift you toward greater purpose. You are not being punished. You are being prepared. You are not being pushed aside. You are being elevated. Every shift is leading you toward a future that reflects your growth rather than your past limitations. You will see this with clarity as you continue forward. What feels uncomfortable today will eventually be recognized as the turning point that positions you exactly where you needed to be. You may have noticed changes in the way people connect with you. Some drawing closer, some drifting away, and others appearing unexpectedly. These shifts are not random. Your relationships are aligning with the direction your life is taking. Certain individuals were essential for previous chapters, but they cannot support the depth, clarity, or maturity required for your next stage. This does not mean they lacked value. It means their role in your journey is evolving. When you feel the distance forming, it is not always conflict. It is often transition. Your growth has moved you into a different pace, and not everyone can walk alongside you at this new rhythm. As you grow emotionally and spiritually, your capacity changes. You begin to see relationships through a lens of purpose rather than convenience. Some connections that once brought comfort no longer feel steady because the alignment has shifted. You may not feel anger or resentment toward them, yet the relationship no longer fits the version of yourself emerging. This recognition may create sadness or confusion, but it carries wisdom. You are discovering the difference between relationships that support your identity and those that merely occupy space in your life. This process is painful because you care deeply. You invest wholeheartedly. You notice shifts more quickly than you admit. Yet these transitions are necessary for clarity. New relationships are also entering your life, and they may feel unfamiliar or unexpected. These individuals carry perspectives, support, and insight that align with your future rather than your past. Their presence is not accidental. They are resources, companions, and stabilizers for the path ahead. Even if you don't fully trust the connection yet, you can sense that it carries significance. They influence your focus, your decisions, your faith, your emotional health. When your life enters a season of transformation, your relationship shifts accordingly. These changes are not punishments or losses. They are refinements. You are being surrounded by voices that strengthen you rather than weaken you. You are being guided away from those who drain your energy or misalign your purpose. In time, you will see the wisdom in this. The people who remain will be those capable of walking with you through the complexity of your calling. The people who leave will complete their part in your story. And the people entering your life now will help you navigate the terrain that once felt too overwhelming to traverse alone. There is a tension pressing against your life that does not match the visible circumstances around you, and this contrast has likely left you wondering why simple tasks feel heavier, why everyday interactions require more emotional energy, or why moments that once felt effortless now feel layered with unseen resistance. You are not imagining this pressure. You are walking through a spiritual landscape where forces you cannot touch or see attempt to influence your thoughts, your focus, your peace, and your direction. This battle does not always reveal itself through dramatic conflict. More often, it shows up through subtle discouragement, unusual fatigue, persistent distraction, or an unexplainable sense of inner resistance when you try to move toward growth. You may have assumed these feelings were personal shortcomings or emotional instability, yet the truth is far more complex. You are experiencing the clash between the transformation occurring within you and the forces that resist the transformation. These unseen pressures rise when you step into clarity, when you begin aligning with purpose, or when you break old cycles that once kept you contained. You may notice moments where your mind feels crowded with thoughts you never invited, or your emotions shift without clear cause. This turbulence reflects the reality that your inner progress threatens the patterns that once kept you stuck. The more aware you become, the more your spiritual environment responds. You are not weak for feeling this pressure. You are sensitive enough to recognize the difference between everyday stress and deeper resistance. Understanding this distinction will allow you to stop blaming yourself for battles that never originated from within you. Your strength is not determined by the absence of struggle but by your ability to remain grounded when invisible forces attempt to shake your stability. The pressure surrounding you is a sign that you are advancing, not failing. Forces that once overlooked you are responding to the progress you're making, the clarity you're gaining, and the growth unfolding within you. You are stepping into territory that requires resilience, and your awareness is sharpening to help you navigate this unseen conflict. The spiritual pressure will not crush you. It is revealing areas where you are becoming stronger, more discerning, and more grounded. You will learn to recognize which thoughts are truly yours, which emotions arise from your own heart, and which sensations belong to the spiritual atmosphere around you. This clarity will prevent confusion from shaping your decisions. You will not be overtaken by what surrounds you. You are not a victim of spiritual pressure. You are learning to stand in a realm you were always meant to understand. And as this understanding deepens, you will rise above the turbulence rather than be consumed by it. There is a reason certain truths reached your spirit earlier than they reached the awareness of others. And it is not because you are more anxious or more fragile. It is because you are designed to stand in moments when others collapse. You sense the shift coming because your life carries a capacity that was shaped through seasons where you endured pain, disappointment, and unexpected challenges that strengthened your endurance. You learned how to navigate complexity long before this current season arrived, and this history within you has positioned you as someone capable of recognizing danger before it manifests. When you felt the early internal nudges, it was not to frighten you. It was to prepare you. You were given insight because you are meant to respond with clarity while others search for answers. The warning reached you early because your role requires awareness. This calling is not based on perfection. It is based on resilience. You have walked through experiences that shaped your courage, even when you believed you barely survived them. You learned to steady yourself through emotional storms that could have broken you. You learned to rebuild hope in times when you felt abandoned. You learned to move forward while carrying questions that remained unresolved. These experiences did not disqualify you. They formed you into someone who can stand with strength even when the world around you trembles. This strength is not loud or dramatic. It is quiet, steady, and deeply rooted. It allows you to remain grounded when others panic, to discern truth when noise grows overwhelming, and to act with purpose even when circumstances feel uncertain. You may not fully believe that you are chosen for this kind of strength, yet everything in your life up to this point reveals otherwise. The early warnings were signs of your capacity, not signs of your fragility. You are not meant to shrink back in this season. You are meant to rise with clarity. What surrounds you may feel chaotic, but you carry the ability to navigate with steadiness. You are being positioned as an anchor in environments where others feel disoriented. Your presence becomes a stabilizing force, not because you try to be perfect, but because you are connected to something deeper than fear. You were warned because you are capable. You are chosen because you are willing to listen. And the path ahead will reveal just how prepared you truly are for the role you have been stepping into, even before you realized it. The intensity you've been experiencing, the heightened emotions, the internal stretching, the sense that something larger is forming within you, is directly connected to the calling that has been quietly growing beneath the surface of your life. You may have wondered why everyday tasks suddenly feel heavier, or why decisions that once seemed easy now carry greater weight. This pressure is not a sign of collapse. It is the pressure of emergence. When a new level of purpose rises within you, the old version of your life can no longer contain the expansion. Your identity is shifting. Your perspective is widening. Your capacity is enlarging. As this happens, the internal tension grows because you are outgrowing the limits that once defined your life. This rise in calling does not announce itself with comfort. It arrives through moments where you feel stretched beyond what you believe you can manage. You notice a growing sensitivity to things that never troubled you before, and you feel an inner pull toward a different direction even when you cannot articulate what that direction is. You sense that holding on to old patterns drains your energy, while embracing new ones feels daunting. This is the space where transformation happens. The pressure you feel is evidence that you are being shaped for a larger role than the one you previously carried. Your calling rises when your character is ready to hold it. You may not recognize the strength forming within you, but it reveals itself through how you endure discomfort, how you navigate uncertainty, and how you seek clarity even when clarity feels distant. The parts of you that once settled for less are dissolving because they cannot accompany the version of yourself that is emerging. You are entering a chapter where your voice, your presence, and your choices will carry more influence than ever before. This rise requires stretching, and the stretching creates prayer. You are not being crushed. You are being expanded. The weight you feel is not meant to overwhelm you, but to shape you into someone who can carry the responsibility tied to your purpose without breaking. You are stepping into territory that demands strength, and the rise of your calling ensures that this strength continues to develop. In time, you will look back and realize that the pressure was the clearest indication that something powerful was awakening within you. The calling rising inside you is real, and you are becoming someone fully capable of carrying it. 20. The answers you have been seeking are now being released. There is a shift happening within you that you may not fully understand yet, but you can feel the early signs every time a question that once overwhelmed you begins to soften, or when confusion that seemed immovable starts to loosen its hold. You have carried questions that weighed heavily on your heart, questions about direction, relationships, purpose, timing, and the meaning of certain experiences you endured without clarity. For a long time, you searched for explanations that remained hidden, and you wondered whether the silence meant you were being overlooked. Yet the truth is that the timing of your answers has always been intentional. Some truths require maturity before revelation. Some understanding requires healing before comprehension. Some clarity requires distance from old wounds. And now, as your heart becomes steadier and your discernment grows sharper, the answers you sought are beginning to unfold in ways that feel both gentle and undeniable. You may notice these answers emerging not through dramatic revelations, but through moments where your inner tension fades and your perspective widens. Conversations you once dismissed now hold meaning. Memories that once confused you now reveal their purpose. Even small insights that appear during ordinary moments carry weight because they were seeds planted long before you recognized them. These answers don't always arrive in words. Sometimes they arrive in peace that settles where anxiety once lived. Sometimes they appear in opportunities that align with desires you buried. Sometimes they emerge through realizations that shift your understanding of past events. This release of answers is not meant to overwhelm you, but to bring closure to areas where your heart remains suspended. You are entering a chapter where uncertainty no longer defines your days. Challenges may still arise, yet the fog surrounding them will not linger as it once did. You will understand which steps to take without second-guessing every movement. You will recognize the connections between past experiences and present invitations. You will see why certain people stayed, why others left, and why some doors closed before you had the chance to step through them. This clarity will not magnify regret. It will illuminate growth. The answers coming to you now will create direction rather than confusion. It will empower rather than burden. It will close old wounds rather than reopen them. You are not entering a season of guessing. You are entering a season of recognition. Answers that were once withheld for your protection are now being revealed for your progression. You are ready to understand what was once hidden. You are ready to see what eluded you. The release of answers marks the beginning of deeper wisdom, and this wisdom will guide you into the next stage of your journey with confidence. You have wondered why certain difficulties seemed to follow you more intensely than they did others, why specific challenges struck at the heart of your identity, and why your moments of growth were often met with resistance that felt disproportionate. These experiences were not signs of weakness. They were indicators of influence. You carry a presence that disrupts negativity and inspires strength in others, even when you are unaware of how deeply your life affects those around you. This influence does not require a platform or a title. It arises from the way you persist through adversity, the way you encourage others even when you feel empty, and the way your silent resilience creates hope for people who watch you more closely than you realize. Because of this influence, opposition resisted your progress. Resistance always rises against those who threaten the balance of negative forces. You were targeted in subtle and direct ways, not because you were failing, but because your growth posed a threat to the patterns that once held you back. The moments you felt attacked emotionally, mentally, or spiritually were not random vulnerabilities. They were strategic attempts to wear down your confidence, dull your discernment, and dampen your desire to continue forward. You may have interpreted these moments as personal weakness or evidence that you lacked strength. In reality, the battles you faced were signs of your importance. The enemy does not invest energy in people who pose no threat. The intensity of your battle reflects the intensity of your purpose. You navigated seasons where discouragement surrounded you, and you questioned whether you were strong enough to make meaningful change. Yet even in these moments, your influence remained active. You uplifted others without realizing it. You provided stability where others felt lost. You carried hope even when it flickered. This resilience is not common. Many would have surrendered where you stood firm. Many would have retreated where you persisted. This strength made you a target, but it also makes you unstoppable. As you continue forward, you will begin to recognize patterns in the resistance you face. These patterns reveal the areas where your influence is strongest. You will see that the enemy attacked your identity because your authenticity liberates others. You were attacked in moments of transition because your growth inspires courage. You were attacked in areas of connection because your presence strengthens relationships and heals emotional fractures. Understanding this will shift the way you interpret future challenges. You will stop seeing obstacles as signs of weakness and begin seeing them as indicators of where your purpose is expanding. You carry influence because you carry depth, empathy, strength, and clarity. This influence will continue to expand, and no amount of opposition can diminish what has been built within you. You have waded through seasons where progress felt painfully slow, and you wondered whether your efforts were being overlooked or whether the timing of your life had fallen out of alignment. You carried dreams that seemed to stall, prayers that seemed unanswered, and goals that appeared unreachable despite your dedication. These delays created frustration because your heart knew you were capable of more than your circumstances allowed. Yet those periods of waiting served a purpose. They prepared you internally for what you could not have handled prematurely. The delays strengthened your endurance, clarified your desires, refined your character, and created maturity that quick solutions could never have produced. Even when you felt stuck, growth was happening within you in ways you could not see. Now, the season you are stepping into will feel different. Momentum is gathering in areas that once felt immovable. The opportunities that were stagnant are shifting into motion. Connections that seemed distant are becoming accessible. Clarity is emerging where confusion once settled. What once felt blocked is opening. What once felt slow is gaining speed. This acceleration is not random. It is synchronized with your internal readiness. You are no longer waiting for circumstances to align. You have aligned internally, and now the external world is responding. Acceleration does not always look dramatic. Sometimes it appears through a sequence of small openings that lead to significant breakthroughs. Sometimes it emerges through renewed motivation that carries you farther than you expected. Sometimes it manifests through unexpected support, resources, or revelations that simplify what once felt complicated. You will notice that tasks which felt daunting now unfold with ease. Conversations that once required courage now flow naturally. Decisions that once caused anxiety now feel intuitive. This shift reflects the alignment between your inner growth and your outward path. The time that felt wasted was not wasted. It was foundational. You were being prepared to handle opportunities without fear, responsibilities without overwhelm, and breakthroughs without instability. You are stepping into acceleration because you are prepared to sustain the momentum. What is unfolding now will progress more quickly than you anticipate, yet it will not overwhelm you because the inner strength built during the delays now anchors you. Acceleration is not about speed alone. It is about alignment, readiness, and purpose converging at the right moment. That moment has begun. The pace of your life is shifting, and you will soon see evidence of opportunities expanding, progress unfolding, and long-awaited desires moving toward fulfillment. You are not behind. You are right on time, and everything that once felt delayed is now moving forward with clarity, strength, and unstoppable momentum. There is a quiet transformation happening within you, one that you may sense even on days when everything around you appears unchanged. You've noticed that certain desires which once consumed your thoughts no longer carry the same urgency, while areas you overlooked for years now stir something deeper inside you. This reordering is not random. It is a recalibration that aligns your heart with what truly strengthens your life instead of what merely fills your time. You may feel conflicted as you release old ambitions, comforts, or habits, because part of you wonders whether you are losing drive or becoming distant from what you once valued. Yet what you are experiencing is not apathy, it is clarity. You are being gently separated from pursuits that drain your energy and redirected toward commitments that support your growth, your peace, and the deeper purpose that has been calling to you even in your most distracted moments. As your priorities shift, you might find yourself craving simplicity in areas where you once felt pressured to prove yourself. You may feel drawn toward conversations that nourish rather than entertain, and relationships that offer substance rather than familiarity. You begin noticing how much of your emotional energy has been invested in maintaining appearances or sustaining cycles that never brought fulfillment. This recognition can create discomfort because it shows you the gap between who you've been and who you're becoming. Yet this discomfort is a sign that your heart is aligning with a steadier rhythm, one that frees you from expectations that were never meant to define you. This reordering does not remove responsibility, it refines it. You will still care, still love, still pursue meaningful goals, but you will pursue them from a healthier place. Instead of striving to meet the demands of others' expectations, you will choose paths that reflect your authenticity. Instead of allowing urgency to dictate your decisions, you will move in alignment with wisdom. You are beginning to distinguish between what deserves your attention and what merely requests it. This discernment will save you time, protect your peace, and create emotional space for what truly matters. The shift may feel subtle at first, but it will guide every decision in the months ahead. You will notice that what once drained you now feels unnecessary, and what once seemed inconvenient now feels essential. You will find yourself investing in growth rather than distraction, healing rather than avoidance, presence rather than performance. This is the beginning of a deeper transformation, one where your heart becomes aligned with a purpose strong enough to carry you through the uncertainties of life without losing center. Your priorities are not being taken from you. They are being purified so that what remains will build strength, stability, and peace within you. There has been a growing restlessness within you, an ache that surfaces in quiet moments, a longing that cannot be satisfied by entertainment, accomplishment, or routine. You may have wondered why you feel this internal pull so intensely, especially when your life is filled with responsibilities and noise. This pull is not a symptom of dissatisfaction with your circumstances. It is an invitation. You are being drawn into a deeper place, a higher dimension of awareness, a more intimate connection than you have ever known before. The increased hunger you feel did not arise from emptiness. It arose from awakening. Your spirit is responding to a call that has been echoing in your life for longer than you realized. This hunger may confuse you because it does not follow logic. You can accomplish goals, enjoy success, or experience moments of happiness, yet still feel a longing that cannot be explained. That longing is evidence that you are being guided beyond surface-level fulfillment into something more enduring. You are being called to understand your life from a deeper perspective, to find meaning beyond achievement, and to cultivate peace that is not dependent on circumstances. The pull you feel is drawing you away from shallow pursuits and into a place where your identity, your purpose, and your connection to truth become unmistakably clear. As this hunger grows, you may begin to feel less satisfied with patterns that once felt comfortable. The conversations that once entertained you may now feel empty. The distractions that once numbed you may no longer hold your interest. This shift is not a loss of enjoyment. It is a rise in awareness. You are seeing the difference between temporary relief and lasting fulfillment. You are recognizing that the deeper part of you can no longer thrive on the shallow waters you once settled for. This recognition is the beginning of transformation. You are being called higher because there is more inside you than you've allowed yourself to explore. Your compassion is deeper than you realize. Your wisdom is wider than you've acknowledged. Your strength is greater than you've tapped into. This hunger is awakening every dormant part of your identity. It is drawing you toward experiences that will expand your vision, soften your heart, and strengthen your character. You are not being pushed into spirituality. You are being drawn into truth. You are not being pressured. You are being pursued. And the hunger you feel is the sign that you are responding to a call that will lead you into greater clarity, deeper peace, and a fuller understanding of yourself and your purpose. There was a time when you could settle into familiar patterns without feeling tension, but that time has passed. You may feel disrupted by this, because even when you try to return to old habits, they no longer bring comfort. You try to quiet the stir within you, yet the silence doesn't stay silent. You attempt to convince yourself that you're fine where you are, yet something deeper pushes against that notion. This inner pressure signals that complacency can no longer coexist with who you are becoming. You have grown too much internally to remain in environments, routines, or mindsets that keep you stagnant. What once felt acceptable now feels constraining. What once felt restful now feels incomplete. You are being ushered into movement, not through force, but through the restlessness that comes when your life outgrows its current form. Complacency often masquerades as comfort. It convinces you that staying the same is safer than stepping forward. Yet you can feel the truth rising in your spirit. Staying still is now more uncomfortable than change. You sensed this for some time. You noticed the loss of passion in areas that used to excite you. You noticed the decline of energy when engaging in obligations that no longer align with your path. You noticed the growing dissatisfaction with patterns that fail to nurture your spirit. These signals are not warnings that you are failing. They are indicators that you are awakening. The season ahead requires intentionality. You are being prepared to make choices that reflect growth rather than convenience. This does not mean abandoning stability. It means refusing stagnation. You are being called into environments that challenge you, relationships that refine you, and opportunities that demand your full presence. Even when you feel unprepared, you will sense a deeper part of yourself stepping forward with courage. Complacency ends the moment you realize you are capable of more than your past required of you. You are stepping into that realization now. Your life will begin to feel more purposeful as you release patterns that kept you comfortable but unfulfilled. The clarity rising within you will become motivation, and the motivation will become momentum. You are not being forced into transformation. You are being invited into it. And as you embrace this invitation, your life will begin moving in the direction you were always meant to go, guided by intention rather than habit, courage rather than complacency, and purpose rather than passivity. There is a deep shift happening inside you, and you can feel it every time life pulls you in a direction that forces you to confront what you truly trust. You've leaned on many things: routine, logic, your ability to problem solve, the stability of systems around you, even the reassurance of familiar people. But each of these has shown cracks in recent seasons. What once felt dependable now feels temporary, and what once felt solid now reveals its fragility. This realization can unsettle you, yet it is also awakening something in you that had been quiet for too long. Your faith, your inner conviction, your deeper knowing, your connection to something greater than your circumstances, is rising again as the anchor that steadies your steps. Not the faith you wore like a label or practiced out of habit, but a living faith that breathes strength into you, sharpens your courage, and widens your vision. This is not a return to what you used to believe out of tradition. It is the rediscovery of what your spirit has always known beneath layers of busyness, disappointment, and the noise of everyday life. You may not have realized how much of your identity drifted into the background while you tried to manage the demands around you. You became skilled at surviving, but survival can dull the voice of your spirit. And now that so much is shifting outwardly, you are being pulled inward again, toward a quieter place where truth takes root. You've begun noticing that your greatest clarity doesn't come from reacting to circumstances, but from listening to the stillness within you. This shift isn't forcing you to abandon responsibility. It's teaching you how to navigate responsibility with strength instead of exhaustion. Faith is becoming your foundation again because your spirit recognizes that you cannot walk into this next chapter relying on what can be shaken. You need an anchor that doesn't collapse under pressure. And that anchor is rising within you, not as an obligation, but as a natural response to the instability around you. This renewed foundation will influence every area of your life. Your decisions will carry more confidence because they won't depend solely on the approval of others. Your relationships will become healthier because you won't seek validation from places that cannot offer it. Your emotions will become steadier because you won't be tossed around by every shift in circumstance. You will move through your days with a sense of inner rootedness that cannot be replicated by effort alone. This is the kind of faith that shapes the atmosphere surrounding you, the kind that brings calm into chaotic environments, the kind that reminds you who you are even when life tries to redefine you. You are stepping into a reality where faith becomes the guiding force, the stabilizing presence, and the lens through which you see your experiences. What once felt lost within you is returning stronger than before, and this foundation will carry you through the unfolding seasons with a clarity and steadiness that cannot be shaken by shifting circumstances. The confusion that once clouded your decisions is beginning to dissolve, even if the change feels subtle right now. You've spent seasons trying to interpret mixed signals, your emotions pulling you in one direction, your logic pulling you in another, and outside voices adding to the noise. This internal conflict made it difficult to trust your own perception. Yet something inside you has begun to sharpen. You are sensing things with a level of clarity you didn't realize was possible. Situations that once felt complicated now reveal their true nature more quickly. Motives that were hard to read now stand out plainly. Paths that once seemed tangled now unfold with quiet certainty. This clarity is not the result of new information. It is the result of a deeper shift happening within your spirit. You are no longer trying to force answers. Instead, you are learning how to see without fear, without self-doubt, and without the need for constant reassurance from others. The clarity you are experiencing is not a fleeting moment. It is the beginning of a new way of perceiving your life and the world around you. As your inner vision sharpens, you will find yourself recognizing opportunities before they fully form. You will notice red flags early enough to avoid disappointment. You will feel the difference between what is genuine and what is merely appealing. This clarity will also help you understand yourself with greater compassion. You will recognize patterns that once held you back, not with shame, but with wisdom. You will see the ways you protected yourself in the past, and you will understand how to step into a more grounded version of yourself. The fog that once distorted your self-perception is lifting, allowing you to walk forward with confidence rather than hesitation. This clarity will impact your relationships as well. You will understand the intentions behind people's actions without overthinking or assuming the worst. You will recognize which connections are meant to grow with you and which are falling away because they no longer align with the person you are becoming. You will be able to offer honesty without fear and receive truth without defensiveness. This is the kind of clarity that nurtures peace, strengthens boundaries, and deepens integrity. It is a clarity that prevents you from repeating cycles that once drained your energy. You are stepping into a season where you will not only see your circumstances more accurately, you will see yourself more accurately. You will understand what strengthens you, what drains you, and what calls you forward. With this clarity, your decisions will become simpler, your emotions more peaceful, and your path more illuminated. You will no longer wander through life hoping to stumble into direction. You will walk with intention because you will see clearly where your spirit is guiding you. You may feel as though everything around you is shifting faster than you can adjust, and the pressure of recent circumstances might make you fear that you are losing control. The storm you're facing, whether emotional, relational, financial, or internal, has likely pushed you into a place where endurance feels harder than usual. You may find yourself questioning your strength, wondering if you've already reached your limit, or doubting whether you can maintain stability while so much feels unstable. Yet hear this: the storm is not a sign of your destruction. It is a catalyst for your strengthening. The pressure you feel is not evidence that you are failing, but evidence that something within you is being reinforced. Storms reveal what foundations are truly secure, and even as you feel the wind pressing against you, there is a deeper truth rising inside you. You are more capable than you think, and you are being upheld in ways you cannot fully see. Every storm confronts the parts of you that relied on external sources of stability. It exposes the illusions of control you once leaned on, not to humiliate you, but to guide you into an anchor that cannot be shaken. You are learning to separate what is temporary from what is unbreakable. You are discovering strength where you expected weakness, clarity where you expected confusion, and resilience where you expected collapse. The storm is not here to strip you. It is here to reveal you. It is showing you how deeply rooted you actually are, how much you have grown, and how capable you are of standing even when the ground beneath you shifts. You may not recognize the transformation while you're in the middle of the turmoil, but the storm is shaping you. It is dismantling fear in ways quiet seasons never could. It is revealing courage you developed through past hardships. It is awakening a deeper sense of identity, one that is not limited by the circumstances pressing against you. You will walk out of this storm with a clearer understanding of your strength, your purpose, and your ability to remain steady even when everything around you feels uncertain. You are not being overwhelmed, you are being refined. You are not being swept away, you are being positioned. When the storm settles, you will see that it did not come to destroy you. It came to teach you what stands firm within you, what needs to be released, and what needs to be rebuilt. And once the clouds lift, you will recognize that you did not merely survive. You emerged stronger, wiser, and more grounded than ever before. There is a momentum moving through your life right now that no barrier, no delay, and no opposition can silence. And you can feel it every time you sense an inner push that refuses to let you slip back into the patterns that once held you. You've tried at times to slow yourself down out of caution, or to pause out of fear that you might make the wrong choice, yet each time you attempt to settle into old rhythms, something within you rises with unmistakable insistence. That feeling is not pressure, it is purpose. You are standing in a moment where changes set in motion cannot be reversed, because they were not initiated by emotion or impulse. They were initiated by growth. You may still feel unsure of the road ahead, but the movement has already begun, and the only responsibility you carry is to steward what is unfolding, rather than attempt to control every detail. There is a difference between trying to manage everything and learning to walk in step with what is emerging. When you steward, you listen instead of force. You respond instead of panic. You build instead of cling. This moment in your life is a culmination of long seasons where you felt stagnant, unseen, or unprepared. Yet during those seasons, something deep inside you was strengthening: your discernment, your resilience, your insight, your ability to make decisions with sincerity rather than fear. These internal developments have created the foundation for this new momentum. What is unfolding is not random. It is the natural expression of who you've become. The transformation inside you has reached a point where it must now express itself through your choices, your relationships, your opportunities, and your direction. This is why you feel the sense of inevitability. You are not being swept into chaos. You are being carried into alignment. You cannot stop this shift because you were never meant to. Attempts to retreat into earlier versions of yourself will feel increasingly uncomfortable because those versions no longer fit. The ways you once coped or protected yourself will no longer resonate. The places you once settled will feel too small for the person you are becoming. This is the evidence that momentum has taken root in your life, and this momentum will continue to pull you toward clarity, purpose, and growth, even on days when you feel resistant or uncertain. Stewarding this season means choosing to walk with awareness. It means acknowledging your progress instead of minimizing it. It means trusting yourself enough to take the next step, even if the full path remains hidden. You don't need to see the entire journey in order to move forward. You only need to honor what is rising within you. As you do, you will notice opportunities meeting you at your level of readiness, connections forming that support your growth, and doors opening that lead you into deeper alignment. What has begun within you cannot be reversed, and as you continue to steward it wisely, you will realize that this transformation is not only unstoppable, it is purposeful, inevitable, and divinely timed. You've walked through seasons where your thoughts tangle into knots, making it difficult to tell the difference between instinct, emotion, and fear. You questioned whether you were making the right decisions, whether you were hearing truth or reacting impulsively, whether you were being guided or drifting aimlessly. Confusion became a fog that hovered over your life, not because you lacked intelligence or discernment, but because you carried too many voices, expectations, and pressures within your mind. That fog made you believe clarity was out of reach. Yet the unfolding season is shifting the atmosphere inside you, and confusion will no longer sit on the throne of your inner world. You may still encounter uncertainty, but you will not be ruled by it. Your mind is being recalibrated so that you can finally distinguish between the noise that once overwhelmed you and the quiet truth rising within you. This clarity will come not as a sudden burst, but as a steady unfolding, like light gradually filling a room you didn't realize had been dim. You will find that your thoughts begin to organize themselves more naturally. Your emotions will feel less like storms and more like signals. You'll experience moments when answers arrive without you forcing them, simply because you have learned how to listen instead of strain. The confusion that once held power over you is losing its influence because your inner life is being strengthened with confidence, maturity, and spiritual awareness. You're learning that uncertainty does not indicate failure. It simply means you've entered a part of your journey that requires trust rather than analysis. There are patterns of mental pressure that are breaking off of you, not through effort, but through recognition. You are beginning to notice which thoughts drain you and which thoughts ground you. You're recognizing when you are spiraling into imagined scenarios instead of responding to what is real. You're learning how to anchor yourself in truth instead of cycling through possibilities out of fear. The shift will affect your relationships as well. You will no longer misinterpret silence as rejection, distance as abandonment, or change as danger. Instead, you will see each situation with a clear lens, allowing you to respond with wisdom rather than insecurity. Confusion loses its power when clarity becomes your habit. And clarity becomes your habit when you stop rushing yourself to know everything and allow truth to rise naturally within you. As you continue forward, you will experience moments when your decisions feel almost effortless because they align so deeply with who you are becoming. There will be peace in your mind where chaos once lived. There will be direction where hesitation once reigned. You are not meant to wander through life in a haze of uncertainty. You are meant to walk with a clear, steady, confident spirit, and that clarity is already forming inside you. You felt the tremors of change around you, not just personally, but globally and part of you has wondered whether it's even possible to find peace when so much feels unpredictable. You've watched the world shift in ways you never expected. You felt responsibilities grow heavier, choices grow more complex, and the atmosphere around you become thick with tension. This environment can make rest feel impossible, as though your heart has to stay alert at all times just to feel safe. Yet there is a rest that does not depend on calm circumstances, a rest that strengthens rather than weakens, a rest that becomes a shield within you even when everything around you feels unstable. You are entering a season where this rest will become more familiar than fear. This rest is not passivity. It is a giving up or ignoring reality. It is the ability to stand in the middle of uncertainty without letting it shape your identity. It is the capacity to breathe deeply even when the world feels loud. It is the inner stillness that grows when your trust becomes deeper than your fear. You will learn that rest is not the absence of pressure. It is the presence of peace strong enough to override that pressure. The tremors around you may continue, but they will no longer shake your center. Your heart will develop a steadiness that no external change can disrupt. This rest will also shift how you navigate life. Decisions that once triggered anxiety will be made from a grounded place. Conversations that once overwhelmed you will feel more balanced. The future, which once felt heavy with uncertainty, will begin to feel open and filled with possibility. Rest will become your strength, allowing you to stay present instead of living in mental battles that exhaust your spirit. You'll notice that while others react to turbulence with fear or anger, you move through the same environment with a calmness that feels almost unnatural, yet entirely genuine. This rest is not something you create. It is something that grows as you release the belief that you must carry everything alone. As you learn to anchor your heart in deeper truth, your emotions will settle, your thoughts will quiet, and your perspective will expand. The world may continue to tremble, but you will walk through it with a heart that is steady, grounded, and protected. This is not denial. It is alignment with the deeper part of you that remains unshaken even when circumstances shift. Rest is becoming your internal strength, and as it grows, you will navigate every season with a peace that does not waver. There is a stirring within you that has made it impossible to remain who you used to be, and this stirring is drawing you into a new level of maturity that may feel both empowering and uncomfortable. You've begun noticing that certain reactions, habits, and patterns no longer fit you the way they once did. Situations that once triggered you now cause you to pause and reflect. Conversations that once pulled you into conflict now leave you searching for wisdom rather than validation. Even the way you see yourself has begun to shift, as though someone quietly turned up the light inside you and showed you areas that once existed in the shadows. This is not a burden, it is growth. It is the unfolding of a deeper strength, one that cannot develop while you cling to old ways of thinking. You are stepping into maturity not because you failed in the past, but because you are now capable of understanding truth in a way that earlier seasons could not hold. This maturity does not remove emotion, but it anchors emotion so it no longer rules you. It does not eliminate vulnerability, but it transforms vulnerability into depth and compassion rather than insecurity. You will find yourself confronting your past with clearer eyes, understanding the meaning behind wounds that once shaped your identity, and learning how to release the weight of experiences you carried for far too long. As your maturity grows, you will no longer interpret challenges as personal attacks. Instead, you will see them as invitations to rise above cycles that once kept you small. You will begin responding to pressure with steadiness, to disappointment with perspective, and to uncertainty with patience. This growth will change your relationships. You may find yourself less willing to engage in superficial drama or to entertain connections that drain your energy. You will become more intentional with your time, more selective with your trust, and more honest in your interactions. This is not distance, it is discernment. You are learning that your heart carries too much value to be tossed into spaces that cannot honor it. Maturity is shaping how you give, how you receive, and how you protect your peace. As you continue forward, this maturity will become one of your greatest strengths. It will help you navigate seasons of transition with grace. It will allow you to hold your identity steady even when circumstances pull at you. It will equip you to make decisions aligned with long-term purpose rather than short-term comfort. You are being called into maturity because the next chapters of your life require the wisdom, strength, and clarity that only a mature spirit can carry. You are ready for this shift, even if part of you still feels hesitant, because you are stepping into a version of yourself that can handle what earlier versions of you could not. There are moments from your past that still echo inside you, memories that resurface unexpectedly, wounds that reopen when triggered, and experiences that you believed should have been resolved by now. You may wonder why those painful seasons had to shape you so deeply, or why certain heartbreaks left such lasting fingerprints on your life. Yet the truth is that none of your pain was pointless. Every tear, every disappointment, every loss, every betrayal, every lonely night, and every moment when you felt unseen has been part of a larger shaping process that prepared you for the strength you now carry. Pain was never meant to define you, but it did refine you. It softened parts of you that were once hardened. It deepened your empathy in ways comfort never could. It expanded your emotional capacity so you could truly understand both your own heart and the hearts of those around you. Pain creates a depth that superficial living can never produce. You've learned how to sit with grief without letting it swallow you. You've learned how to rebuild hope even when the ruins of your expectations lay at your feet. You've learned how to move forward without every question answered. This resilience was not learned in peaceful seasons. It was built in the very moments you thought were breaking you. And while you may still carry scars, those scars now hold wisdom, not shame. They remind you of everything you survived when you thought you would collapse. They remind you how far you've come. Your pain has also sharpened your discernment. You can recognize unhealthy patterns more quickly because you walked through them. You understand the value of emotional safety because you once lacked it. You know how to protect your boundaries because past seasons showed you the cost of ignoring them. Pain taught you not to settle for less than you deserve. It taught you to listen when your spirit warned you. It taught you to value peace more than approval. Nothing in your story is wasted, not even the chapters you wish had never happened. They all contributed to the person you have become, a person with depth, compassion, courage, and endurance. You are not the same as you once were, and that transformation is part of your strength. As you continue forward, you will find that the very pain that once made you feel weak has become the foundation of your wisdom. You will use that wisdom to guide decisions, to comfort others, and to walk into your future with a heart that is not only healed, but empowered. It may feel at times as though the pressures around you are grinding you down rather than building you up, and you may even worry that the difficulties you face are slowly draining your strength. But what you are experiencing is not destruction. It is refinement. Refinement is the process where excess, residue, and impurities fall away so the core becomes stronger, purer, and more valuable. This is what is happening within you now, even if the process feels intense. You are not being broken apart. You are being shaped into someone capable of carrying a deeper purpose. The situations that test your patience are strengthening your endurance. The challenges that expose your weaknesses are revealing where new strength is needed. The transitions that leave you feeling vulnerable are making room for qualities you never realized were part of your identity. Refinement does not feel gentle. It confronts the parts of you that cling to comfort. It challenges illusions you once relied on. It forces you to release what no longer fits your future. But the intensity of this season is not a sign of failure, it is a sign of transformation. You are shedding layers of fear, insecurity, and self-doubt that cannot accompany you into the next phase of your journey. You may feel stretched, challenged, or even exhausted, yet this very pressure is revealing capacities you did not know you possessed. You are learning to stand in your truth without shrinking. You are learning to speak with clarity instead of hesitation. You are learning to trust your instincts rather than silence them. This refinement will influence how you see yourself. Instead of questioning your worth, you will begin recognizing your value. Instead of apologizing for who you are, you will learn to embrace your voice. Instead of viewing challenges as obstacles, you will see them as opportunities to rise higher. You are developing a strength that is not fragile, a confidence that is not arrogant, and a peace that is not dependent on external calm. All of this is emerging through the refining fire you are currently walking through. Nothing about you is being ruined. You are not losing yourself, you are discovering yourself. You are not being diminished, you are being purified. You are not being punished, you are being prepared. As you look back one day, you will see that this season did not crush you, it forged you. And what will emerge from this refining process will be stronger, wiser, more grounded, and more courageous than anything you have ever known within yourself. There is a quiet shift taking place within you, one that you may only notice when you look back at moments where you once felt powerless, yet now find a surprising strength rising before the old pattern even pulls you in. You face temptations, some emotional, some relational, some internal, some behavioral, that clung to you for years, almost convincing you that they were permanent parts of your identity. These temptations did not always appear dramatic. Sometimes they came as familiar thoughts, subtle impulses, or habits that offered comfort in moments of stress. Yet recently, you've begun experiencing an unfamiliar distance between who you are now and what used to lure you. This distance is not accidental. It is evidence of the deep work unfolding inside you. You are not fighting the same battles with the same weakness. Your appetite for certain distractions has diminished, not because you forced yourself to be stronger, but because your spirit is outgrowing the need for them. When growth happens on the inside, old temptations lose their power on the outside. This loss of grip does not happen overnight. It happens through the slow strengthening of your identity, your clarity, and your conviction. And whether you realize it or not, every time you resist what once controlled you, you are stepping further into the freedom that was always meant for you. You may still feel the echo of old urges from time to time, but the difference is that once they felt like commands, now they feel like suggestions you no longer have to obey. You are starting to notice the pattern behind these temptations, how they come when you're tired, how they whisper when you're unsure, how they appeal to versions of you that no longer exist. This recognition alone is a sign of transformation. Temptation loses strength when you understand its language. You are beginning to see through the illusions that once captivated you, and in doing so, you strip them of the influence they once carried. This change is not about becoming perfect. It is about becoming aligned. As your purpose grows clearer, anything that contradicts it becomes easier to release. You may not have realized how much progress you've made because progress often reveals itself in silence, through the battles you no longer fight, the cravings that no longer control you, and the impulses that no longer feel satisfying. This freedom will expand as your identity strengthens. You will find yourself reaching for healthier choices without forcing yourself to do so. You will choose peace over chaos, truth over illusion, presence over escape. This shift will also influence the spaces you allow yourself to enter and the voices you permit into your life. As old temptations lose their grip, you begin to recognize how much your environment once shaped your vulnerability. Now, with greater self-awareness, you are choosing surroundings that support your growth rather than trigger your weakness. You are stepping into a season where temptation will not be your captor. It will be your teacher, showing you how far you've come and how strong you've become. This freedom is not fragile. It is forming roots. And what once felt impossible is now unfolding naturally because your spirit is rising into a version of you that no temptation can dominate. Something inside you has started tuning itself to a different frequency, and you may have noticed it during moments when you suddenly understand things you could not explain before, or when a feeling in your heart warns you before your mind catches up. This internal sensitivity is not randomness. It is the awakening of your spiritual hearing. You are beginning to perceive guidance, truth, and direction in ways you never recognized in earlier seasons. This awakening isn't about strange experiences or dramatic revelations. It is about becoming receptive to the subtle hints, impressions, and signals that arise from your deeper awareness. Your spiritual ears are opening because you are finally quiet enough internally to notice the truths that have been trying to reach you for a long time. You are learning to discern the difference between anxiety and intuition, between impulse and wisdom, between fear and insight. These distinctions are forming not in your mind but in your spirit, which is becoming more attuned to truth with every step you take forward. You may notice this heightened awareness in your relationships, where you sense sincerity or deception without anyone saying a word. You may feel it in opportunities that appear good but feel wrong in your spirit, or in choices that scare you but carry a peace you cannot ignore. This inner perception is not meant to confuse you. It is meant to protect you. As your spiritual ears open, you will no longer waste time forcing yourself into situations that do not align with your growth. You will recognize early signals before you get pulled too far into confusion. You will feel an internal caution when something does not align with your integrity. And you will feel a distinct inner pull when something is meant for you, even when circumstances seem uncertain. This awakening will also deepen your connection with your inner truth. You will begin to recognize how many decisions you once made from fear, habit, or pressure, rather than from genuine alignment. You will start recognizing the difference between noise and guidance, and your heart will grow quieter as clarity becomes more consistent. This opening is not just about hearing, it is about understanding. You are learning to interpret what your spirit senses, rather than dismissing these impressions as overthinking. You are learning to trust the internal nudges that steer you away from danger and into purpose. As this sensitivity continues to strengthen, you will walk through life with a confidence that does not depend on external reassurance. You will make decisions with a peace that defies logic. You will avoid pitfalls that once trapped you. You will recognize connections that are meant to uplift you. And you will navigate challenges with an inner wisdom that makes you unshakable. Your ears are opening, not to noise, but to truth. And this truth will guide you into the most aligned and powerful version of your life. There are things you once gave your time, energy, and attention to that no longer satisfy you, and lately you may feel a sense of frustration as the activities, habits, or even relationships that once held your focus begin to lose their appeal. This change is not a sign that you are becoming apathetic or losing motivation. It is a sign that distractions are being cleared from your path. Distractions often disguise themselves as comfort, familiarity, obligation, or even entertainment, yet they drain your energy, divide your focus, and keep you from stepping into the deeper possibilities waiting for you. What you're experiencing now is a cleansing of your priorities, driven by the inner awakening happening inside you. Your heart is becoming too aligned with purpose to remain occupied by what dilutes your attention. The things you once used to cope are losing their ability to soothe you because you are outgrowing the version of yourself that needed them. This burning away isn't always gentle. Sometimes it feels like restlessness, irritation, or dissatisfaction. You may catch yourself scrolling endlessly, engaging in conversations that feel empty, or participating in routines that drain you, and you feel a sudden internal resistance that wasn't there before. That resistance is the signal that you no longer fit into those distractions. You are being called into something deeper. You are being guided to invest your time into what builds instead of what numbs. You are being redirected toward relationships that strengthen you instead of weaken you. You are being pulled toward habits that expand your capacity rather than shrink your spirit. As these distractions fall away, you may feel moments of emptiness because the space they once occupied is becoming available again. But do not mistake emptiness for loss. This is fertile ground. It is space being created for new strength, new clarity, new creativity, and new purpose. The things that distracted you were limiting your growth, even when they felt comforting. And now that they are falling away, your mind is becoming lighter, your emotions more grounded, and your vision clearer. You will begin noticing that your focus sharpens. You will find it easier to stay present. You will experience deeper peace because you are no longer pulled in a dozen directions. The space created by burning away distractions will allow you to hear your own inner truth more clearly than ever before. You are not being deprived. You are being refined. And what remains after the distractions fall away will be stronger, richer, and more meaningful than anything those distractions ever offered. There is a nearness growing around you that you may not have fully recognized yet, but you have felt hints of it. Moments when your heart softened unexpectedly, when a thought brought sudden peace, or when something that should have unsettled you instead left you strangely calm. These moments are not coincidences. They are the early signs of a deeper presence drawing closer to you, a presence that meets you not through dramatic displays, but through quiet encounters woven into your everyday life. You are beginning to sense this because your spirit is becoming more receptive, more open, and more attuned to what is happening beyond the surface of your circumstances. You have walked through seasons where you felt alone even in a crowded room, where you carried burdens no one understood, where you longed for reassurance but received mostly silence. Those seasons softened you, not to break you, but to make space within you for something deeper, an awareness that cannot be manufactured and cannot be explained by logic alone. You are entering a chapter where this nearness will become more natural than the doubts that once dominated your thinking. This presence will not overwhelm you, it will steady you. It will show up in moments when your strength is fading and remind you that you are held. It will appear in the clarity that arrives after long confusion, in the comfort that settles after emotional storms, in the sudden courage that rises when you expect fear to win. You will not always be able to articulate it, but you will know it. This nearness will help you trust your journey even when pieces are still coming together. It will help you recognize guidance not as random instinct but as unmistakable direction. You will begin to notice that certain choices feel illuminated while others dim. You will sense when to move, when to wait, when to release, and when to hold on. This awareness is not mystical, it is relational. It grows as you learn to quiet internal chaos and receive truth without resisting it. As this presence becomes more tangible to you, your fears will lose their power. Your anxieties will no longer dominate your decisions. Your identity will feel more secure, not because circumstances improve immediately, but because you will no longer depend on circumstances for stability. This nearness will make loneliness less consuming because you will begin to understand that being alone and being abandoned are not the same. You will notice that your emotional reactions shift. You will respond with grace where you once reacted with anger, with patience where you once felt urgency, with wisdom where you once felt confusion. This is the result of a deeper presence influencing who you are becoming. Over time, You will look back and realize that the nearness you now feel was present long before you recognized it. What is changing is not the presence itself, but your openness to experience it. And as this openness grows, you will discover a steadiness within yourself that circumstances cannot shake, and a peace within your heart that no burden can outweigh. You may not realize how much of your confidence has been shaken by the experiences you've endured, the disappointments, the delays, the unanswered questions, the times you expected clarity but received silence instead. These moments created hesitation within you, not because you lacked belief, but because you carried the weight of trying to understand everything on your own. You lost some confidence, not out of rebellion, but out of exhaustion. You tried to be strong in seasons that required strength beyond your own. You tried to hold yourself together when life was stretching you in directions you never anticipated. And somewhere in that stretch, doubt quietly slipped into the spaces where trust once lived. But this shaking did not break your connection. It revealed the cracks where healing needed to enter. And now, with the work happening inside you, your confidence is rebuilding itself on a foundation far stronger than the one that once carried it. You are stepping into a season where your trust will no longer be fragile or easily shaken. It will be grounded in experience, clarity, and the steady awareness of how you've been carried through every moment you thought would overwhelm you. This renewed confidence will not be based on blind optimism. It will rise from memory, the memory of breakthrough after uncertainty, peace after emotional chaos, clarity after confusion, and strength after weakness. You will begin to see patterns of preservation woven throughout your past, patterns that prove you were never navigating your life alone. These realizations will build confidence that does not weaken in adversity. You will begin to trust what once frightened you because you will recognize that even your detours carried purpose. This confidence will not make you reckless. It will make you bold. It will free you from the paralysis of overthinking. It will help you step into decisions with calm certainty rather than fear of making the wrong move. As your confidence returns, it will shape how you see challenges. You will no longer view obstacles as threats, but as transitions. You will walk into uncertain situations with the assurance that guidance will meet you there. You will speak with conviction because your faith will no longer be something you hope works. It will be something you know carries you. This confidence will not make your life perfect, but it will make you unstoppable. Because when you trust that you are not walking alone, you move differently. You think differently. You respond differently. Soon, you will feel this confidence rise within you like strength returning to tired bones. Not sudden but steady. Not forced, but natural. And when it comes, it will anchor you in a way that nothing in your past ever managed to do. There are parts of you that were worn down by the last chapter of your life. Parts you learned to live without because you assumed they were gone for good. You lost energy from carrying weight that wasn't yours, hope from dreams that didn't unfold, passion from battles that drained you, and trust from disappointments that left you feeling unguarded. You may not talk about these losses, but you feel them. The motivation that once propelled you, the lightness that once filled you, the clarity that once guided you. Some of these losses happened suddenly, others faded gradually, but together they created a sense that something vital inside you had dimmed. What you may not see yet is that you are entering a season where those losses will not define you. Restoration is beginning, quietly at first, then unmistakably. This restoration will not return you to who you used to be. It will bring you into a stronger, more grounded, more alive version of yourself. You may have assumed restoration meant going backward, but it doesn't. It means retrieving what should never have been taken from you. Your joy, your confidence, your purpose, your peace, your emotional strength, your clarity, your fire. These things are not lost beyond recovery. They are stored within you, waiting for the right moment to rise again. That moment is approaching now. You will begin noticing this restoration through small shifts, energy returning in moments where you expected fatigue, hope rising without explanation, inspiration resurfacing after years of silence. These small sparks are the beginning of something much bigger. Restoration will also show up in places where you experience loss through people or situations. You will receive support where you once faced emptiness. You will uncover opportunities that compensate for doors that closed prematurely. You will see relationships surface that bring healing where wounds remained open. You will gain clarity that rewrites the story you once told yourself about your failures. Nothing you lost will return in the same form, because you are not the same person. You have grown through what hurt you. You have matured through what broke you. You have strengthened through what challenged you. Restoration is not giving you back what was taken. It is giving you what is now aligned with who you've become. And as this restoration unfolds, you will realize you didn't lose yourself in the last season after all. You were being prepared for the moment when everything you lost would return, not weakened, but renewed, multiplied, and transformed into something even greater than before. There are moments when you look back at the battles you faced and wonder why the opposition against you felt so targeted, so calculated, and so relentless. You endured seasons where everything seemed to hit at once: your emotions, your relationships, your stability, your identity, and at times you questioned whether you were simply too weak, too vulnerable, or too unprepared to face what was coming at you. But now, as you stand in the deeper clarity rising within you, I want you to understand something essential. None of what came against you succeeded the way it intended. Every attack, every setback, every confusing moment, every emotional blow had a purpose beyond its initial sting. What was meant to wound you instead sharpened you. What was meant to break you built you. What was meant to silence you planted a voice inside you that refuses to disappear. The pressure you endured developed strength in you that could not have formed through comfort. The challenges that were orchestrated to derail you actually strengthened your discernment and matured your spirit. And now, as you step into greater awareness, you are beginning to see that every tactic used against you ultimately exposed the areas of your life that needed reinforcement, areas that are now stronger than ever before. The enemy sought to overwhelm you with confusion, yet your awareness has sharpened. The enemy sought to discourage you through delays, yet your patience has deepened. The enemy tried to isolate you, yet you discovered a connection to truth that runs deeper than human approval. The enemy attempted to convince you that your life had stalled, yet you emerged with a clearer sense of purpose. You were pushed into seasons where you felt invisible, yet those seasons taught you how to stand without needing constant affirmation. You faced moments where your emotions were tested, yet those very moments taught you stability. You may not realize it yet, but everything used against you is now working for you. The strategy backfired because it underestimated who you would become. It misjudged your resilience, your capacity for endurance, and the depth of your spirit. You navigated situations that would have broken earlier versions of you, and in doing so, you discovered strength that cannot be taken from you. That strength is not loud. It is steady. It is the kind of strength that remains grounded even in the face of uncertainty. It is the kind of strength that makes you a threat to anything that tries to diminish your purpose. As you continue forward, you will see even more clearly how past battles position you for future influence. The very areas where you were attacked most intensely are the areas where you will impact others most powerfully. What once felt like defeat has become the soil for transformation. And when you look back, you will not see a story of being overtaken. You will see a story of rising stronger than anything that tried to stop you. There is a strength awakening within you that may feel unfamiliar at first, not because it is foreign to your identity, but because you spent so many years suppressing it in order to survive. adapt, or avoid conflict. You learned how to stay quiet in rooms where your voice should have mattered. You learned how to shrink yourself in environments where your presence threatened insecure people. You learned how to dim your intuition because others dismissed what you sensed. Over time, these habits convinced you that authority was something you did not possess, or something you had no right to express. But now, life is calling forth parts of you that have waited patiently beneath the surface, parts that were shaped through trials, refined through pain, and matured through responsibility. You are stepping into a version of yourself that has the confidence to speak with clarity, the courage to act with purpose, and the discernment to stand firm even when others misunderstand you. This authority is not arrogance, it is alignment. It comes from knowing who you are and refusing to settle for smaller versions of yourself. This authority will show up in the way you handle boundaries. You will no longer tolerate environments that drain your spirit or relationships that compromise your peace. You will learn how to say no without guilt and how to walk away without feeling like you failed someone. You will feel a new clarity rising in your decisions, not rushed, not reactive, but deeply grounded and intentional. You will walk into rooms with an inner steadiness that others will sense before you say a word. The weight of your presence will shift because you will no longer enter situations from a place of insecurity. You will show up rooted. Your authority will also influence how you handle challenges. Instead of collapsing under pressure, you will feel yourself stepping into solutions with calm confidence. Instead of questioning your ability, you will feel an instinctive sense of capability. You will approach difficulty with a focus that once seemed unreachable. You will be able to discern what requires your involvement and what does not deserve your energy at all. This clarity will preserve your strength and increase your impact. As you grow into this authority, you will also influence others without even trying. People will draw from your calmness. They will find clarity in your words. They will feel safe in your presence. They will see in you a confidence that invites them into their own. This influence won't come from force, it will come from authenticity. You are not stepping into borrowed authority. You are stepping into authority that was always yours, but has now matured through experience. And once you begin walking in it, you will never return to the version of yourself that once doubted the power you carry. There is a shift taking place in the way your heart speaks, the way your spirit cries out, and the way your inner life reaches for something beyond what your senses can grasp. You may have once believed your prayers were simply words, expressions of hope, moments of vulnerability, or attempts to find comfort in uncertainty. But recently, something has changed. Your prayers carry weight now. They carry clarity. They carry authority. They carry conviction. You feel it in the way your emotions settle after speaking from your heart. You feel it in the way peace rises in situations that once overwhelmed you. You feel it in the way clarity enters conversations after you've brought them into your inner sanctuary. You may not realize it yet, but your prayers are no longer passive expressions. They are active forces shaping what happens around you. They are becoming weapons, not in the sense of harm, but in the sense of protection, breakthrough, and transformation. Your prayers are creating shifts in places where you once felt powerless. They are opening doors that were closed for years. They are dissolving confusion that lingered too long. They are guarding relationships that matter, exposing intentions that don't, and strengthening the areas of your life where you once felt the weakest. You may not always see immediate change, but the atmosphere around you adjusts the moment you speak truth, hope, or surrender from the depth of your heart. You are becoming aligned with something far bigger than your circumstances, and your prayers are beginning to reflect that alignment. This power in your prayers is emerging because your perspective has matured. You are no longer praying from fear but from awareness. you are no longer asking from desperation, but from identity. You are no longer seeking escape, you are seeking purpose. Your prayers now carry the sound of someone who knows their voice matters, someone who knows their life has meaning, someone who knows they are not alone. As this grows, you will notice that your prayers begin to change the way you see yourself. You will speak differently because you believe differently. You will stand differently because you trust differently. You will move differently because hope within you is no longer fragile. It is alive, active, and anchored. Your prayers are not soft whispers into empty space. They are declarations into the unseen. They are movements. They are catalysts. They are weapons that tear down fear, break cycles, restore strength, and reveal truth. And as you continue to grow, you will see just how powerful your voice becomes when your spirit speaks from a place of deep conviction and unwavering trust. There is an unmistakable shift taking place inside you, a movement that stirs in quiet hours and unexpected moments, urging you to confront the thoughts, fears, and internal narratives that have shaped your decisions far longer than you realized. You've grown used to fighting external battles, circumstances, relationships, responsibilities. But the deeper battles, the ones fought in the unseen corners of your heart, have often lingered without resolution. These are the battles that whisper when you're alone, the ones that tell you you're not enough, that your future is uncertain, that your voice doesn't carry weight, that your progress is fragile. These battles drain emotional energy, distort clarity, and leave you feeling as though you're constantly taking one step forward and two steps back. But now, something inside you is rising, signaling that the season of inner struggle dominating your life is ending. You are entering a chapter where you will no longer be worn down by the emotional storms that once felt undefeatable. Instead, you will learn how to meet them with strength, understanding, and mastery. This transformation doesn't come through suppression. It comes through awareness. You're starting to recognize the patterns behind your inner battles, the triggers, the lies, the insecurities, the unresolved wounds. And as this recognition grows clearer, those inner battles begin losing their power. You're learning to separate your identity from your thoughts, which means you can observe your emotions without being controlled by them. You're learning to understand your fears rather than run from them, which means they can no longer dictate your choices. You're learning to confront the narratives that once felt like truth, realizing they were shaped by pain rather than purpose. These shifts, subtle as they may seem, are the beginning of your victory. They mark the moment where your inner world stops being a battlefield and starts becoming a sanctuary. Winning inner battle doesn't mean eliminating emotion. It means developing the strength to navigate emotion without losing your sense of direction. It means knowing how to quiet your mind when anxiety tries to rise. It means recognizing when old wounds are speaking and choosing not to let them define your voice. It means mastering the discipline of returning to truth even when lies feel louder. This is the season where you will develop that mastery. Your inner world will no longer be a place of chaos. It will become a place of resilience and clarity. And as this happens, every outward area of your life will shift. Decisions will become easier. Relationships will feel more balanced. Pressure will feel less intimidating. You will move with confidence because the battles once fought inside you will no longer sabotage your peace. You will rise stronger, steadier, and more grounded than ever before because this season is teaching you how to win where victory matters most, within. There is preparation happening inside you that does not match your current surroundings, and this mismatch may have confused you lately. You feel yourself growing in ways that seem unrelated to the life you are presently living. Your discernment sharpening even when you're not facing major decisions, your heart expanding even when relationships feel distant, your courage rising even when no visible challenge demands it. His preparation feels almost out of place, as though something in you knows what your circumstances have not yet revealed. That inner tension is not a mistake. You are being prepared for opportunities, transitions, and responsibilities that your eyes cannot see yet, but your spirit already senses approaching. This equipping is intentional. It is shaping your character so you can handle what's coming without being overwhelmed by it. You are developing stamina for seasons that will require consistency. You are gaining wisdom for conversations that will influence your future. You are building resilience for doors that will open suddenly. You are becoming someone who can carry more than you used to, not out of burden, but out of purpose. Preparation rarely makes sense in the beginning. It stretches you in areas where you don't feel pressure yet. It deepens you in places where everything looks calm. It strengthens muscles in your spirit that you didn't know you had. And because the evidence hasn't shown up externally, you may have wondered whether you were imagining these shifts. But nothing about this is imagined. You are being built quietly so you can stand boldly. You are being shaped in private so you can move with certainty when the moment arrives. You are being equipped because something ahead of you will require a stronger version of yourself. Stronger emotionally, spiritually, mentally, and relationally. And this equipping is not happening to intimidate you. It is happening to protect you. When what is coming finally reveals itself, you will understand why you had to grow in ways that seemed unnecessary at the time. You will realize why emotional patterns needed to be healed. You will recognize why old connections had to fade. You will see why your heart needed softening in some areas and strengthening in others. Everything in your preparation is purposeful. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is random. Every internal shift is making you capable of handling blessings without losing yourself, responsibilities without burning out, and transitions without fear. This preparation ensures that when the next chapter opens, you will walk into it with confidence rather than hesitation. Your spirit already knows what your eyes will soon see. Something significant is approaching, and you are being equipped so that when it arrives, you will rise into it fully ready. There is a quiet uncertainty that sometimes surfaces within you, an uncertainty about whether you are truly changing or whether you will slip back into old versions of yourself. The moment pressure rises, you've made progress before, only to feel it fade. You've experienced growth, only to question its permanence. These memories can create hesitation in your heart, making you question whether the transformation happening inside you now is real or temporary. But hear this: the change you are experiencing in this season is not superficial, emotional, or momentary. It is grounded, is deep, is anchored. You are not merely adjusting habits, you are reshaping identity. You are not simply evolving behavior, you are healing the root beneath it. You are not just improving, you are transforming. And transformation, once it begins at the core, does not reverse. Your spirit is learning to trust what your heart already knows. You are not who you used to be, and you will not become that person again. Transformation doesn't always feel dramatic. It often appears in subtle ways, in the way you pause before reacting, in the way you reflect before deciding, in the way you breathe before panicking. Small victories reveal deep change. Your patience is growing even when your circumstances remain challenging. Your intentionality is deepening even when you feel tired. Your awareness is expanding even when life feels heavy. These signs may seem small, but they speak of a larger shift happening beneath the surface, one that is shaping your destiny quietly. You are learning to trust yourself again, not the version shaped by fear or insecurity, but the version shaped by clarity, healing, and truth. As this transformation continues, you will find yourself behaving in ways you once admired in others but never believed were possible for you. You will set boundaries without trembling. You will speak with confidence without forcing yourself. You will step into opportunities without sabotaging your progress. You will allow yourself to be loved because you finally believe you deserve it. This internal shift will influence every external area of your life: your relationships, your decisions, your goals, your peace. You will realize that trusting your transformation is not arrogance, it is humility. It is acknowledging the work being done inside you. It is honoring the growth that came through seasons of struggle. Your transformation is real. It is lasting. It is unfolding with precision. And as you lean into it, you will discover a version of yourself that is not only healed, but whole, not only wiser, but grounded, not only stronger, but deeply anchored in truth. You are learning to trust the new you, and that trust will carry you into the next stages of your life with courage. There has been a tension inside you that stretches across the unseen parts of your heart, a pull from your past urging you to stay familiar and a pull from your future urging you to rise. This tension has created moments where you felt divided within yourself, as though two versions of you were trying to live in the same body, the one shaped by old wounds, patterns, and fears, and the one emerging through healing, truth, and clarity. You felt that inner conflict when you made progress, only to question whether you were ready for it. When you pursued growth, only to hear echoes of the identity you left behind. When you stepped into new behaviors, only to feel the tug of older coping mechanisms trying to reclaim their place. This feeling of being torn has drained your energy, clouded your decision-making, and made your emotions feel unstable at times. But you need to understand the deeper truth. This internal pull is losing its power because the version of you emerging is becoming too strong, too grounded, too mature to be pulled back into an identity that no longer fits. You are stepping into a moment where your past will lose its argument, and your future will speak louder than your history. You'll begin to notice this shift through tiny victories. The way you say no without guilt, the way you pause before letting old habits run your thoughts, the way your spirit feels unsettled around patterns you once tolerated, and the way peace rises where anxiety used to dominate. These small markers are not coincidences. They are signs of inner alignment forming. You are not torn because you are confused. You are torn because you are concealing. And transitions always create a temporary discomfort until the new you becomes stronger than the memory of the old. Your heart is learning to release attachments to versions of yourself that were built from survival rather than truth. This does not mean your past was a mistake. It means your past was a lesson, and you have learned it. It means those older versions of you did everything they could with the knowledge they had, but their time has expired. As the split within you closes, you will feel more centered, more decisive, and more emotionally stable. Choices that once felt overwhelming will become clear. Relationships that once confused you will reveal their true nature. Habits that once controlled you will lose their hold. The fog that once clouded your internal world will lift as you embrace the version of yourself formed through courage rather than fear. You are not losing yourself, you are integrating yourself. You are becoming whole where you were once fragmented. And soon, you will stand in a place where you no longer question which version of you deserves to lead your life, because only one will remain: the healed, grounded, transformed you. Recently, you've noticed changes in what you want, changes that surprised you, unsettled you, or even made you question whether something was wrong with you. Desires that once consumed your heart have softened. Ambitions you once chased now feel empty. People or environments you once craved no longer pull you the way they used to. Instead, new desires have begun forming within you. Quieter, deeper, more aligned desires that don't always make sense when compared to your past. This shift may have caused you confusion because part of you is still attached to the old map, the old dreams, the old expectations, and the old narratives you once built your life around. You might wonder if you're losing passion or drifting aimlessly. But what you must understand is that this shift is not a sign of decline. It is a sign of evolution. Your desires are changing because you are changing. And desire always follows identity. To grow means to outgrow. To mature means to refine what you reach for. To awaken means to see what once appealed to you through new eyes. The desires that are fading serve their purpose, but they belong to a version of you shaped by wounds, fear, insecurity, or limited perspective. You are not rejecting your old dreams out of confusion. You are releasing the dreams that belong to someone you no longer are. And even though these shifts may feel disorienting at first, they are making room for desires that align with your soul rather than your survival. You are learning to want things that nourish you instead of drain you, strengthen you instead of distract you, expand you instead of postpone you. These new desires may feel fragile at first, like soft whispers instead of clear direction, because your spirit is still learning how to trust this emerging guidance. But in time, these whispers will become unmistakable. You will feel a pull toward environments that bring peace rather than chaos. You will crave relationships that feel trustworthy rather than complicated. You will pursue goals that reflect authenticity rather than performance. And you will begin valuing experiences that bring long-term fulfillment rather than temporary relief. This shift is preparing you for the next chapter of your life, a chapter that requires a heart aligned with truth rather than assumption. As you continue forward, you will realize that your desires did not fade because you are lost. They faded because shallow desires cannot survive in a deepening soul. What is rising within you is not confusion. It is clarity. It is alignment. It is transformation unfolding from the inside out. And soon, you will not fear these changes. You will be grateful for them. There are memories you carry of things that slip through your hands, relationships, opportunities, seasons, dreams, and sometimes when you think about them, you feel a quiet ache, as though you lost pieces of yourself along the way. You've worried at times that you missed your moment, that you made the wrong decision, that you waited too long or moved too quickly, or that circumstances sabotaged what you were meant to experience. This fear has lingered in the background of your life, influencing your confidence and shaping your expectations of the future. But hear this truth: nothing that is truly meant for you, nothing aligned with your destiny, your growth, your calling, your identity, can ever be taken from you. It may be delayed, reshaped, or redirected, but it will never be lost. If it didn't stay, it wasn't meant to stay. If it left, it was never meant to carry you into the next chapter. If it fell apart, it was making room for something stronger. This truth is not meant to invalidate your grief. It is meant to free you from the belief that your future depends on what slipped away. What is meant for you will find its way into your life with precision, not pressure. It will enter at the right time, not the rush time. It will appear in a mature form that aligns with who you are becoming, not who you used to be. You will not have to fear losing what is meant for you, because destiny does not operate through fragility. What belongs to you is protected, even in seasons where you feel unsteady. What is aligned with you cannot be derailed by the actions of others. What is assigned to you cannot be altered by chance. As you move forward, you will notice that certain losses were actually redirections. You will see how things that ended cleared paths you didn't know you needed. You will understand that what felt like disappointment was often protection. And you will begin to trust that your journey is not defined by what left but by what remains, and by what is still coming. This realization will bring peace into places where anxiety once lived. You will stop fearing the future because you will know that nothing essential can be taken from you. You will stop clinging to people or situations that drain you because you will know that release never threatens what is meant to stay. You will stop doubting your path because you will recognize that destiny is stronger than circumstance. Nothing meant for you is gone. Nothing meant for you is lost. Nothing meant for you is fragile. Your future is safe. Your path is protected, and what belongs to you will arrive in its time, whole, ready, and unable to be taken away. There is a fear that has lived beneath your ribs for longer than you admit, an old, familiar tension that shows itself in moments when you feel called to speak, to act, to step forward, yet something inside you hesitates, tightens, and urges you to shrink. This fear was not born from weakness. It was born from seasons where your voice was dismissed, where your confidence was shaken, where your vulnerability was mishandled, or where your courage was met with criticism instead of support. Over time, this fear learned how to whisper at just the right moment, convincing you that staying silent was safer than being seen, that staying small was wiser than risking disappointment, that staying hidden was easier than stepping into your purpose. But this fear, this quiet thief, has overstayed its welcome. And now, in this season, I am uprooting it from the deepest places within you. Not by force, but by truth. Not by pressure, but by awakening. You will soon notice that the situations which once intimidated you begin losing their power. Conversations that once drained you will feel easier. Opportunities that once frightened you will feel more natural. The trembling inside you when stepping into new spaces will begin to fade as confidence grows where insecurity once lived. This change will not happen through dramatic revelation. It will happen through subtle shifts, which will begin to accumulate until the fear that once controlled you becomes unrecognizable. You will start to realize that the power fear held was never in its strength. It was in your belief that it had authority. Now, as your clarity deepens, that belief is dissolving. You will sense this freedom in the way you hold yourself differently, the way you speak without rehearsing every word in your mind beforehand, the way you act without waiting for permission from uncertainty. You will begin to trust the strength rising within you instead of questioning it. This doesn't mean you will never feel fear again, but fear will no longer silence you. It will no longer dictate your choices or shape your identity. Instead, you will notice that courage rises faster than anxiety, and confidence grounds you faster than doubt can unravel you. As this fear lifts, you will discover parts of yourself you forgot existed: your creativity, your boldness, your insight, your passion, your ability to influence and inspire. These gifts were never lost, they were simply muffled. And now that fear is releasing its grip, these parts of you will come alive with renewed strength. People around you will notice the shift. They will sense the steadiness in your voice, the clarity in your eyes, the weight in your presence. You will no longer navigate life with caution as your guide. You will navigate with authority. This is not arrogance. It is alignment. It is you stepping into the truth of who you are rather than the shadow of who you feared you might be. The silence that once protected you is no longer needed. You are stepping into a version of yourself that no longer bows to fear, because the truth awakening within you is stronger than anything that ever tried to hold you back. Deep within you lives a vision, one you carried long before life became heavy, long before responsibilities crowded your mind, long before disappointment convinced you to lower your expectations. This vision was born from the purest part of you, the part untouched by fear, the part shaped by possibility, the part that knew instinctively what your life could become. But somewhere along the journey, life stretched you in ways you didn't expect. Certain dreams didn't unfold quickly enough. Certain opportunities slipped away. Certain battles drained your enthusiasm. And without fully realizing it, you began to distance yourself from the very vision that once ignited your spirit. You learned to settle for realistic goals. You learned to minimize your hopes so disappointment wouldn't cut so deeply. You learned to silence the desires that felt too big, too bold, too unlikely. And gradually, that vision, once so vibrant, quieted until it became more memory than motivation. But now, in this season of awakening, that vision is stirring again. This pulse is returning. This color is deepening. This voice is becoming clear. You may not recognize the reawakening at first, because it won't come through dramatic inspiration. It will come through moments when old desires return unexpectedly. It will come when something sparks excitement you haven't felt in years. It will come when your mind drifts toward possibilities you stopped allowing yourself to consider. It will come through the feeling that you are meant for more, not out of dissatisfaction, but out of alignment. These moments are not nostalgia. They are invitations. They are reminders that the vision inside you was never forgotten. It was waiting for your spirit to become strong enough to carry it. You are no longer the person who gave up on that dream. You have more wisdom, more resilience, more clarity. You understand timing in ways you didn't before. You understand responsibility, patience, and emotional maturity. And because of that, the vision returning now is not the same version you once held. It is deeper, richer, and far more achievable than you ever imagined. As this vision awakens, your life will begin to shift. Your priorities will reorganize themselves. Your energy will return. Your creativity will resurface. You will feel a sense of direction where confusion once lived. You will begin making decisions that align with the destiny you once doubted. Opportunities that match this vision will begin appearing, not by coincidence, but by alignment. People who support your purpose will enter your life, while those who drain your spirit will naturally fade. You won't have to chase anything. You will simply rise into a vision that has been waiting for the right version of you to receive it. And when you finally step into it, you will understand why the delays were necessary and why the dream refused to die. It was always meant for you, and now you are finally ready to carry it. There have been countless moments where you held yourself back, not because you lacked ability, but because you were trying to protect someone, preserve peace, avoid conflict, or wait for the right time. You restrained your voice when you could have spoken truth. You held back your potential so others wouldn't feel threatened. You suppressed your passion because you feared it would be misunderstood. You minimized your achievements so you wouldn't seem arrogant. You avoided stepping forward because you worried about how others would react. This restraint was not weakness. It was compassion, humility, and emotional intelligence. But over time, this restraint began to feel like confinement. You started to wonder whether silencing yourself had cost you opportunities. You started to feel the weight of unrealized potential sitting heavy on your chest. You started to question whether you had betrayed your own purpose by shrinking too often. Yet what you did not realize is that all this restraint, every moment you held back, every time you paused, every time you swallowed your thoughts, was strengthening you in ways you could not see. It was teaching you timing, wisdom, discipline, and depth. And now, that restraint is transforming into power. You are entering a season where the parts of you that once held back will begin to step forward with clarity and conviction. Not recklessly, not impulsively, but purposefully. You will speak when silence once felt safer. You will act when hesitation once controlled you. You will step into opportunities that earlier versions of you would have declined. Your restraint created a maturity that allows you to wield strength without harming others. It taught you how to choose your battles, how to discern motives, and how to wait until your voice carries weight rather than noise. Now, when you speak, it will carry an authority that surprises people. When you move, it will influence atmospheres. When you make decisions, They will shape outcomes instead of merely reacting to them. This transformation will feel powerful because it is rooted in self-mastery. You will find that you no longer waste energy on proving yourself. Instead, you will use your strength strategically, intentionally, and compassionately. You will no longer shrink to avoid discomfort, nor explode from pent-up frustration. You will act from alignment. You will respond from wisdom. You will step forward from purpose. People around you will see the shift and recognize a version of you they always sensed but never fully witnessed. Your restraint has not been a cage, it hath been preparation. And now that you are stepping into strength, you will discover that the quietest seasons of your life shape the loudest power within you. There are subtle shifts taking place inside you that you may not fully understand yet. Moments when you sense something beneath the surface of a situation. Moments when someone's words feel out of alignment with their intentions. Moments when an opportunity looks good externally but something within you grows uneasy. These sensations are not mere instincts. They are evidence that your discernment is being sharpened. You are learning to perceive truth without requiring physical proof. You are beginning to recognize the difference between what appears right and what is right. Discernment develops in seasons where clarity is essential yet not obvious, and these seasons often feel uneasy because you are judging dynamics you once overlooked. But do not fear this sharpening. You are being prepared to navigate environments where surface impressions are not enough. You are being equipped to make decisions that protect your spirit, your peace, and your future. This heightened awareness will show up during conversations where your heart detects agendas before they reveal themselves, during decisions where your intuition guides you away from paths that would have drained your strength, and during moments where you feel drawn toward opportunities that carry purpose even when they lack perfection. This discernment will not make you suspicious, it will make you wise. Suspicion drains energy and distorts perception, but discernment clarifies understanding and anchors your perspective. You will learn to recognize emotional manipulation without internalizing its effects. You will detect deception without losing compassion. You will see through flattery without mistaking it for affirmation. You will notice the difference between someone who appreciates you and someone who benefits from you. These abilities may feel uncomfortable at first because they require a level of honesty you once protected yourself from. Yet as you grow, you will find freedom in this clarity, freedom from the confusion that once clouded your judgment, freedom from the pressure to please people who do not value your heart, freedom from the cycles that drained your confidence. This strengthening will also guide your purpose. You will sense when it is time to move, even if the path is unfamiliar. You will feel when a door should remain closed, even if it looks appealing. You will know when someone is meant to walk with you, and when someone is meant to be released. You will no longer second-guess your instincts because you will realize they are not random fluctuations of emotion. They are signals shaped by truth. As this ability increases, you will experience less inner conflict and more inner stability. Your decisions will become clearer. Your relationships will become healthier. Your peace will become less fragile. You will begin to trust yourself in ways you never thought possible because you will be guided by wisdom that surpasses experience. And this discernment, once a whisper, will become one of your greatest protections in the chapters ahead. There are beliefs you adopted long before you were aware of their impact. Beliefs shaped by childhood wounds, past relationships, painful experiences, or repeated disappointments. These beliefs secretly influenced how you saw yourself, how you interpreted your worth, how you approached love, how you dealt with rejection, and how you made decisions about your future. They became foundations without ever being examined, and because of that, you learned to operate from places that were never true to your identity. Some of these foundations told you that you were too much, others told you that you were not enough. Some convinced you that your dreams were unrealistic, others that your heart was a liability. Some taught you to expect loss. Others trained you to anticipate disappointment. Yet these beliefs were never accurate. They were survival mechanisms. But surviving is not the same as living. And now, I am exposing these foundations not to shame you, but to free you. You cannot build a strong future on false narratives, and you cannot embrace your true identity while carrying the weight of lies. This exposure may feel uncomfortable at first because it will confront patterns that once felt normal. You may notice emotional triggers rising in unexpected moments, revealing buried beliefs you didn't realize were still active. You may sense internal resistance when you try to speak truth over yourself because parts of you still cling to old definitions. You may feel moments of confusion as the past unravels itself from your present. But every discomfort is a sign of healing. It is the moment where unconscious beliefs become conscious, giving you the chance to release what no longer belongs. You will begin to see how much of your identity was shaped by moments that tried to limit you, how many of your decisions were influenced by wounds that were never your fault, and how many of your fears were inherited rather than chosen. As these false foundations are dismantled, your true identity will rise, not the version shaped by fear, but the version shaped by strength. You will begin to see yourself through clarity rather than self-criticism. You will begin to understand your value not through the lens of external validation but through inner truth. Your confidence will no longer feel forced. It will feel natural. Your boundaries will no longer feel harsh. They will feel healthy. Your purpose will no longer feel distant. It will feel attainable. This transformation will unfold gradually, but each shift will bring you closer to the person you were always meant to be. When these foundations fall away, what remains will be unshakable. You will stand with a grounded identity that nothing and no one can distort. There have been seasons where the waiting felt endless, moments when you questioned whether what you were hoping for was ever going to arrive, moments when you wondered if the delays were punishment, or if you had misunderstood the direction your life was meant to take. You waited for clarity, for opportunity, for healing, for restoration, for breakthrough. And in that waiting, you felt overlooked at times, forgotten at times, and exhausted far too often. Waiting has a way of pulling at the deepest insecurities, making you question your worth, your decisions, and your timing. Yet what you didn't realize is that the wait was never meant to weaken you. It was meant to strengthen you for the very thing you were waiting for. You were being prepared in ways you could not see, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, and relationally. You were developing endurance, discernment, patience, and wisdom. These qualities take time to grow, and without them, the blessings you long for would have overwhelmed you instead of elevating you. The wait shaped you in ways that acceleration never could. It taught you the value of intention. It deepened your gratitude. It sharpened your instincts. It stripped away superficial desires so only genuine ones remained. It revealed which connections were trustworthy and which were temporary. It taught you to stand even when nothing changed, to believe even when the evidence was thin, and to keep moving forward even when you felt stuck. These qualities are not small, they are essential. And because you now carry them, you are able to handle what the next season demands. Soon, you will see the purpose behind every delay. You will recognize how timing protected you, how closed doors redirected you, and how detours positioned you for opportunities that would have been impossible if you had received what you wanted too early. You will see that the waiting wasn't empty. It was preparation filled with invisible progress. You will understand that nothing was lost in the wait. Everything was being aligned. And when what you've been waiting for finally arrives, it will come with a clarity, readiness, and sense of peace that confirms why the wait mattered. You will not feel rushed. You will not feel uncertain. You will not feel unprepared. You will feel aligned. The timing will make sense. The purpose will make sense. Even the pain will make sense. The wait was necessary, not because you were unworthy, but because what is coming is too significant to be mishandled. And soon, you will see that the wait did not delay you, it perfected you. There are connections, habits, and environments that once seemed harmless, even comforting, and yet beneath their familiarity lived a quiet potential to sabotage the very future you are stepping toward. You may not have realized the influence they carried, because some of these things entered your life during seasons where you were simply trying to survive, not discern. Others slipped in through routine, through loyalty, or through emotional attachment. And still others felt necessary because you didn't yet know your own worth or strength. But now, as your spirit grows more grounded and your identity becomes clearer, you are beginning to notice a tension between who you were and who you are becoming. A tension is not accidental. It is the signal that you have outgrown certain patterns that would have limited you if allowed to remain. Some of these separations feel sudden, others feel confusing, and some even hurt, but each one is strategic. You are being guided away from anything that could distort your purpose or weaken your stability. This separation may reveal itself through emotional distance where you once felt closeness, through discomfort in spaces that once felt natural, or through a lack of resonance in conversations that once filled your time. Do not interpret these shifts as rejection or loss. They are alignment. They are protection. They are the quiet work of your inner world refusing to allow anything that cannot support your growth to maintain access to your heart. You are evolving, and as you evolve, your environment must evolve with you. What once fit you during seasons of healing may not fit you in seasons of purpose. What once felt tolerable during seasons of uncertainty may become unbearable now that clarity is forming within you. This doesn't mean you are abandoning people or betraying your past. It means you are refusing to let your past dictate your destiny. As this separation unfolds, you will begin to see why certain people drifted, why certain opportunities closed, and why certain behaviors no longer brought the comfort they once did. You will recognize how much strength was being drained by what you tolerated. You will realize that the exhaustion you once carried did not come from your purpose. It came from misalignment. And as these weights fall away, your energy will return. Your focus will sharpen. Your heart will feel lighter. What is meant to walk with you into your future will align effortlessly. What is not meant to stay will fade without force. You will not have to fight to keep what belongs with you. You will simply rise, and what cannot rise with you will naturally fall away. This separation is not abandonment. It is preparation. And as each unnecessary weight is lifted, you will step into your future with clarity and strength you never knew you had. There have been seasons where the atmosphere around you felt heavy, emotionally, spiritually, and mentally. A tension you couldn't explain seemed to linger over your days, making you feel tired even when you hadn't exerted yourself, discouraged even when nothing was visibly wrong, and drained even when you tried to rest. This heaviness didn't come from laziness or weakness. It came from environments that conflicted with your growth. Sometimes it was the energy of people who projected their unresolved pain onto you. Sometimes it was the weight of responsibilities that became unbalanced. Sometimes it was the residue of past trauma still living in your nervous system. And sometimes it was simply the emotional climate of a season changing faster than you could keep up. This heaviness created pressure on your internal world, making it difficult to access clarity, peace, or creativity. But now, there is a shift happening around you. Subtle at first, then unmistakable, lifting the heaviness that has hovered over your heart. You may begin to sense this shift through moments when your mind suddenly feels clearer, when your emotions feel lighter, or when your thoughts feel less chaotic. You may feel unexpected relief during activities that once overwhelmed you. You may notice a quiet ease settling where anxiety once lived. These changes are not random. They are the early signs of atmosphere shifting around you, not by external force, but by the internal strength rising within you. As you heal, your environment responds. As your identity strengthens, your atmosphere recalibrates. As your spirit awakens, the heaviness cannot cling to you the way it once did. This shift will also change the way you interact with the world. You will no longer absorb the emotional tension of others as easily. You will no longer carry burdens that are not yours. You will no longer feel suffocated by expectations. Instead, you will hold your peace with firmness. You will remain centered even in chaotic environments. You will maintain your clarity even when others project confusion. Your spirit is learning how to breathe in truth rather than stress. It is learning how to stand in its own strength rather than collapse under pressure. As this atmosphere shifts, something inside you will awaken that felt dormant for a long time. Your creativity, your joy, your courage, your sense of possibility. You will feel life returning to areas that once felt numb. You will feel motivation rising where apathy once lived. You will feel hope rekindling in the places where discouragement once built walls. And as your spirit breathes freely again, you will move forward with a lightness that makes you realize just how heavy the previous season truly was. There is a transformation happening inside you that is directly influencing the quality of relationships you will attract in the next chapter of your life. You've experienced connections in the past that were based on survival, insecurity, or emotional wounds. Some relationships mirrored your fears rather than your future. Others required you to shrink so the connection could survive. Some filled temporary loneliness but offered no long-term stability. And others pulled you into cycles where you gave more than you received, tolerated more than you deserved, or sacrificed more than was healthy. These relationships weren't entirely mistakes. They were reflections of where you were emotionally, spiritually, and mentally at the time. But now that healing is taking root within you, the relational dynamics you once accepted no longer match who you are becoming. This mismatch may be why certain connections feel strained, why some people feel distant, why your tolerance for superficiality is decreasing, and why your desire for deeper, healthier interactions is growing stronger. This shift is preparing you for relationships that reflect your healed identity, not your wounded one. You will begin to attract people who value emotional safety, who communicate with honesty, who love with intention, and who grow alongside you rather than pulling you backward. You will find yourself drawn to individuals who respect boundaries, who honor your voice, who recognize your worth without needing to be convinced. You will also begin forming connections that nourish your spirit rather than drain it. These relationships will not require you to abandon yourself, compromise your peace, or fight for validation. Instead, they will amplify your purpose, sharpen your clarity, and support your journey. But before these new relationships arrive, space must be created. This is why certain people are fading. This is why certain conversations feel different. This is why old relational patterns feel uncomfortable now. Your spirit is rejecting what no longer aligns with your growth. It is making room for connections that carry the depth your heart has always longed for. You are moving into a chapter where your relationships will not be defined by need, fear, or insecurity, but by mutual growth, respect, understanding, and love. And when these relationships arrive, whether friendships, partnerships, or collaborations, you will recognize them instantly. They will feel like safety. They will feel like alignment. They will feel like home, not because they are perfect, but because they match the healed version of you. You are not losing relationships, you are preparing for relationships worthy of your transformation. There is a deep internal shift happening within you right now, one that may feel disorienting at times because it is pulling you away from everything that once felt familiar but was never truly aligned with who you are. You live parts of your life shaped by expectations, by survival, by old wounds, by the need to keep peace, by the fear of disappointing others, or by the pressure to be who someone else needed you to be. Those versions of you were real, formed by circumstance, shaped by experience, but they were never the full truth of who you were created to become. Because of that, you spent years carrying a quiet tension within yourself, sensing that somewhere beneath the layers was a truer, more grounded self waiting to be lived. This tension has recently intensified not because something is wrong, but because something is finally awakening. The misalignment between who you have been and who you truly are can no longer coexist comfortably. And so, life has begun rearranging your inner world, your desires, your thought patterns, your emotional responses, in ways that may feel unfamiliar but are necessary for transformation. This alignment will show itself in subtle but undeniable ways. You may catch yourself reacting differently to situations that used to provoke anxiety. You may notice a stronger desire for authenticity, honesty, and depth, both from yourself and from others. You may feel an inner pull away from anything that drains your spirit or requires you to pretend. You may feel less tolerant of environments where you must shrink, censor, or abandon parts of yourself. At the same time, you may notice a renewed hunger for things that bring you peace, inspiration, and purpose. These are not mere personality quirks emerging. They are signals of alignment taking shape inside you. As you move into this alignment, parts of your old self will naturally fall away. Habits that once felt comforting will feel hollow. Relationships built on outdated versions of you will feel strained. Patterns rooted in insecurity will lose their power. Even goals you once chased may no longer resonate, not because you're giving up, but because your spirit is choosing what is real over what is expected. This shedding can feel unsettling because it requires releasing identities you've worn for years. But as each layer falls away, the clarity that rises within you will confirm that this shift is not loss, it is liberation. Alignment means stepping into truth without apologizing for it. It means seeing your worth clearly enough to stop negotiating it. It means embracing your voice, your boundaries, your values, and your purpose without dilution. It means living from the deepest part of you rather than the versions you crafted to survive. As this alignment completes its work, you will feel a steadiness in your spirit you've never known, a confidence that does not waver with others' opinions, and a peace that cannot be shaken by external circumstances. You are not becoming someone new, you are becoming someone true. There is a rhythm developing within your life that may feel slower and calmer than what you are used to, yet far more intentional. For so long, you have lived under internal and external pressure to hurry, to perform, to figure everything out quickly, to prove your worth, to avoid disappointing others, or to stay ahead of situations that felt unpredictable. This pressure pushed you into decisions made out of fear rather than clarity. It shaped your pace, your thoughts, your relationships, and even your expectations of yourself. But now, a shift is occurring that is teaching you to move differently, not reactively but purposefully. You are learning the difference between urgency and calling, between panic and direction, between pressure and purpose. And as this wisdom settles into your spirit, the way you navigate your life will transform. Purpose does not rush you, it steadies you. Purpose does not demand frantic movement, it calls for intentional steps. Purpose does not exhaust you, it energizes you. You will begin recognizing this shift when decisions that once felt overwhelming start to feel manageable, when you stop forcing outcomes and begin allowing alignment, when you no longer feel the need to earn rest because you understand rest is part of clarity, not the opposite of productivity. You will notice that when pressure tries to rise within you, something deeper now pushes back, an inner calm that says, "Not this way, not this time." not at this cost. That inner calm is the beginning of wisdom. You are being taught how to follow the quiet pull of purpose instead of the loud demands of fear. This means you will begin moving at a pace that honors your spirit rather than drains it. It means you will learn to recognize when a door is truly meant for you instead of chasing every opportunity out of fear of missing something. It means you will begin choosing what aligns instead of what appeases. This shift will influence every area of your life: your relationships, your work, your rest, your goals, your dreams. Moving with purpose will help you discern when to pause without feeling guilty and when to act boldly without feeling reckless. As this new rhythm takes root, you will begin to see your life unfold with greater ease. You will notice clarity entering decisions that once confused you. You will discover that purpose reveals itself not through rush, but through alignment. And soon, you will no longer measure your value through pace, performance, or productivity. You will measure it through groundedness, intention, and truth. The pressure that once dictated your every step will no longer hold authority over you. You will move through life with purpose guiding you, and that purpose will lead you exactly where you are meant to be. There is a hidden part of your heart that you've carried quietly for years, a part that learned how to endure without being noticed, how to smile while holding pain, how to survive without asking for help. This part of you was shaped in moments where you didn't feel safe enough to express your emotions, where you had to be strong for others even when you were struggling, where you buried your needs because no one seemed capable of meeting them, or where you felt unseen despite giving everything you had. Over time, you learned to conceal this wounded part of yourself beneath resilience, humor, achievement, or independence. You protected it because acknowledging its depth felt too vulnerable. And yet, this hidden part of you has carried a weight your spirit was never meant to hold alone. Now, in the season of awakening, I am reaching into that unseen place, gently, patiently, lovingly, to bring healing where silence once lived. Healing this hidden part of you will not come through dramatic emotional release. It will come through subtle moments of realization. Moments where you recognize why certain words hurt more deeply than they should. Moments where you understand why you fear abandonment even when no one is leaving. Moments where you see how much of your self-worth was tied to being needed rather than being known. Moments where you notice how quickly you apologize for your feelings as though they are burdens rather than expressions. Each of these moments is not meant to shame you. They are meant to reveal the wounds you no longer have to carry. This healing will soften you, but it will not weaken you. It will help you reclaim the tenderness you buried under survival. It will allow you to receive love without suspicion, comfort without resistance, and support without guilt. It will free you from the emotional armor you once needed, so that your relationships can deepen in ways they never could before. You will begin to realize that strength is not the absence of vulnerability. It is the courage to allow your true self to be seen. As this unseen part of you heals, you will feel a lightness returning to your heart. You will notice that old emotional triggers lose their intensity. You will stop expecting rejection in places where you are actually safe. You will stop over-explaining yourself out of fear of being misunderstood. You will stop carrying the responsibility for others' emotions while neglecting your own. Your inner world will finally feel like a place of safety rather than conflict. This is the healing that transforms everything, not because the world around you changes, but because the world within you becomes whole. And as wholeness rises, you will step into life with a heart that is no longer hiding, no longer hurting in silence, and no longer burdened by the weight of what no one else ever saw. You are being healed from the inside out, and soon, your life will reflect that freedom. There is a quiet revolution happening inside your identity, one that may feel unsettling because it disrupts the stories you have repeated about yourself for years. You have carried labels placed on you by circumstances, people, past mistakes, or even your own insecurities. Some of these labels became so familiar that you stopped questioning them, accepting them as truth simply because they echoed in your mind long enough. You saw yourself through the lens of past failures, through the voice of someone who wounded you, through the expectations of people who never understood your depth, or through the fear that you were somehow falling behind. These perceptions dug deep roots into your confidence, shaping how you approached opportunities, how you handled relationships, and how you measured your own worth. Yet now, something within you is awakening, a sense that the way you've been seeing yourself is not aligned with the truth of who you truly are. This awakening isn't loud, but it is persistent, pulling you gently into a clearer, purer understanding of your identity. You may notice this shift during moments when you suddenly challenge a negative thought that once felt unquestionable. You may recognize it when you stop apologizing for your emotions, when you start acknowledging your strengths without feeling guilty, or when you realize that the limits you once accepted were never yours. They were inherited from environments that did not know how to nurture your potential. This inner shift is not about inflating your ego. It is about revealing the truth that has always been hidden beneath layers of misunderstanding and emotional debris. You are beginning to see yourself the way you were intended to be seen, with clarity, compassion, and dignity. And as this perspective rewrites itself inside you, your choices will begin to shift accordingly. This rewriting will influence the risks you're willing to take, the boundaries you're willing to set, the relationships you're willing to pursue, and the opportunities you're willing to embrace. You will no longer settle for connections that feed insecurity. You will no longer shrink in rooms where your presence carries weight. You will no longer hide your voice when wisdom rises inside you. This transformation will not turn you into someone different. It will free you to become who you always were beneath the pain, the doubt, and the expectation of others. As this new self-perception takes root, you will notice your internal dialogue changing. Instead of questioning whether you are enough, you will begin asking why you ever believed you worked. Instead of assuming rejection, you will recognize your worth. Instead of expecting disappointment, you will anticipate alignment. This shift is sacred because it affects everything: your confidence, your peace, your decisions, your dreams. And soon you will look at yourself with a clarity you've never experienced and realize that the truth about you was never lost. It was simply waiting for the moment you were strong enough to reclaim it. There are cycles in your life that have repeated for so long that you began to assume they were permanent. Patterns in relationships, emotional wounds resurfacing, financial struggles reappearing, seasons of stagnation returning, or internal battles resurfacing whenever you felt close to breakthrough. These cycles created a sense of inevitability in your mind, as though no matter how much you grew, you were destined to fall back into the same old places. You tried to break free. You tried to think differently, act differently, choose differently. Sometimes it worked for a while, but eventually the old pattern seemed to pull you back, leaving you discouraged and weary. That weariness convinced you that freedom was possible for others but somehow elusive for you. Yet what you need to understand now is that these cycles were never stronger than your destiny. They were simply unchallenged by the version of you that existed in earlier seasons. You are not who you were then. You are wiser. You are deeper. You are grounded. And now, the cycles that once defined your life can no longer contain you. This change begins internally. You are being shown the roots of patterns you once only saw on the surface. You are understanding why certain emotions repeated themselves. You are recognizing how past wounds influenced present choices. You are seeing how certain relationships kept you tied to old versions of yourself. And as this awareness grows, your authority over these cycles grows with it. You are no longer fighting blindly. You are fighting with clarity. And clarity is what breaks patterns. You'll notice this freedom in the way certain temptations suddenly feel empty, in the way old triggers no longer control your behavior, or in the way situations that once derailed you now hold no emotional power. You may even find yourself walking away from people or habits that once felt impossible to release. The shift isn't weakness, it is liberation. You are stepping into a future where your patterns no longer dictate your path, your old wounds no longer guide your decisions, and your past no longer determines your direction. As you rise out of these cycles, your life will begin to expand in ways that once felt unimaginable. Opportunities that were blocked will open. Relationships that were unhealthy will dissolve. Dreams that were delayed will accelerate. You will begin to walk in a strength that doesn't come from fear of repeating the past, but from confidence that the past no longer has authority over you. These cycles are breaking, not because you are forcing them to break, but because you are finally becoming the version of yourself with the strength to step out of them. And once you step out, you will never go back. Hope hath been a complicated place for you, something you desired but feared, something that inspired you but also disappointed you. There were seasons when you hoped boldly only to have life push back. Seasons when you believed, dreamed, prayed, and waited, yet watched outcomes unfold differently than you expected. Those experiences taught you to be cautious with hope, to hold it lightly so it wouldn't hurt as much if it slipped away. Over time, your hope became guarded, measured, careful. You allowed yourself to desire only what seemed reachable. You allowed yourself to dream only within the boundaries of what you felt you could control. You allowed your heart to want, but only safely. What you didn't realize was that living with guarded hope also guarded your joy, your creativity, your passion, and your ability to see possibility. Yet now something within you is shifting. You are being taught how to hope again, not cautiously, not fearfully, but freely, boldly, and with renewed courage. This restoration of hope does not come by pretending everything is perfect. It comes through healing the part of you that learned to equate hope with disappointment. It comes through understanding that hope is not a risk, it is a lifeline. It is the spark that keeps you moving when life feels heavy. It is the voice within you that whispers possibilities where fear sees limitations. As this healing unfolds, you will begin to feel hope rise in places where you once felt numb. You will find yourself imagining possibilities that once felt out of reach. You will sense excitement in dreams that once seemed impossible. The heaviness that once weighed down your expectations will begin to lift, replaced with a gentle confidence that perhaps the best of your life is not behind you. It is ahead. You will notice that hope feels different this time. It will not be naive or impulsive. It will be grounded, mature, and anchored in truth. This hope will not depend on immediate results or ideal circumstances. It will come from the deep, quiet assurance that your life still holds more than you have seen, more than you have experienced, and more than you have yet imagined. As this hope grows, you will begin living differently. You will take steps you once avoided. You will open your heart to opportunities you once declined. You will believe in your future with a strength that surprises even you. And when challenges arise, and they will, your hope will not disappear. It will steady you. It will guide you. It will remind you that disappointment is not the end, delays are not denial, and setbacks are not evidence that you should stop believing. You are being taught to live with a heart that is unafraid to hope, a heart that expects good, that embraces possibility, and that moves forward with the confidence that your story is still unfolding in extraordinary ways. There is a stirring inside you right now that may feel both exhilarating and unsettling, as if something long dormant has begun to awaken in a part of your soul you stopped believing could ever feel alive again. You've carried dreams that once felt bright, only to watch them dim under the weight of responsibilities, disappointments, delays, and seasons that demanded more from you than you had the strength to give. There were moments when you quietly decided to lower your expectations, not because you lacked desire, but because your heart grew weary of hoping for things that seemed too distant to touch. You told yourself to be practical. You told yourself not to want too much. You told yourself to settle for what was available rather than believe for what was possible. And yet, even in those moments of quiet resignation, something in you never fully let go. Something inside you held on, not loudly, but persistently. Not with certainty, but with a flicker that refused to die. Now that flicker is turning into flame. Now that whisper is turning into direction. Now that dormant dream is turning into a calling you can no longer ignore. You may find yourself sensing possibilities that once felt unrealistic. You may feel your imagination stretching into spaces you abandoned. You may notice a growing confidence rising in your decisions, or an unexplainable courage showing up where fear once dictated your reactions. This is not random. This is not emotional whim. This is alignment. This is timing. This is the convergence of who you have become with what you are now ready to receive. You needed the seasons that humbled you, strengthened you, matured you, and awakened you, not to punish you, but to shape you into a person capable of carrying the life you once thought was beyond your reach. You are wiser now. You are more grounded now. You understand yourself, your purpose, and your value in ways that previous versions of you never could. Because of that, the life that once felt too big is no longer too big. It fits you now. It meets you now. It calls to you now. This next part of your journey will stretch you, but it will not break you. It will challenge you, but it will not defeat you. It will require your courage, your trust, and your willingness to believe in possibilities that exceed your past experiences. You will need to step out of the limitations you placed on yourself. You will need to release the fear that told you you weren't qualified. You will need to silence the doubt that convinced you certain blessings were for others but not for you. As you do, you will find that doors open not because you forced them, but because you finally became the person who can walk through them without shrinking. What is approaching is not a fantasy. It is fulfillment. It is the return of what was meant for you all along, now arriving at a time when you can hold it without losing yourself. You are stepping into a life that once felt unreachable, not because the life changed, but because you did. And now, everything that once felt beyond you is rising to meet you, waiting for the moment you finally realize you were always destined for more than you allowed yourself to believe. Amen.